I used rap back in the 90s, now I'm back on my own grounds, putting forth this ancient shit. You can hear it in the sound, my voice, giving you scholarship and there's no choice. I'm called Maine, so my main objective is go as I came, like Cain. We kill up our brothers because of the Bible way. Somebody that took the recessive brain, put it in the black man's head. My folks, they should all roll out with me just like these books I read. I'll bring your ass from amongst the dead, like I said. I'm bred, tell motherfuckers what the ancestors said. I'm bred to kill white supremacy as dead. I'm bred to tell you all I know about the melanin molecule. I wake sleep mass about it, they slumping, sailing to school, the solar am rules over a holographic attitude. That means that my demeanor is set to tell your ass the truth. That means that my position is here to give your ass the scoop. Don't need a Benz when I ride, I'm a guide, a new info. I do this, self-initiation to send one through this. Study MO-Jep, come up with the conclusion. Medical association is ruthless. My conclusion is to take these words, these adjectives, nouns, and verbs, providing a spark for your spine, so when I speak them, they'll be heard. From the heart to the pineal, spirituality will show you what's really real. To God and man form, and the solution ain't the deal. To worship something outside yourself is to worship something inferior to yourself. You send it to us sin, so the only one who can save your ass is self. Sight beyond sight, like lion, I come with my eye attached to my sword. Heart perceive my walk, actions perceive my thoughts. So I'm off to take a walk, is how I be dealing with my thoughts. I be staring at my people, y'all wanna be gods or not. I'm an alchemical nutcase, my pathwork got me moving at my own pace. I'm called Maine, so my main objective is to bring the pain I can't get fucked with. Literally, I'm an occultist. I brought my fire from the heavens, I'm Prometheus. I shine my light in the darkness, that makes me Lucifer. Hit it? Psychologically, I'm inclined to do this shit till you can't fuck with it. Crushing every rapper, they don't have the mental capacity. Ain't talking about shit on their music, you motherfuckers is sloppy. So I'm back from the grave, knowledge I crave. Then I get a sass of pussy, I'm Dionysus with my thesis. Raising my kundalini, I'm out the bottle, I'm the genie. People judge me how they want, but they really can't beat me. People push me to the point, but they really can't see me. With a camera lens and a bunch of friends in this 3D they living in. Yeah. Let me hear that
all right, greetings. Peace to all the true gods and goddesses on the path doing work, real work. Not just talking about the shit, but actually doing it. All right, let me just get set up here. Get things, make sure everything's up and running. Just want to make sure we got the phone lines up and running. All right, and then we're going to go into a couple of things. All right, looks like we're good here. All right. Peace to everybody here right now. Doma, peace, brother. Chaotic Scott, Charita L. Trina, what's going on, Trina? All right. Yeah, good there. All right. Real quick. You probably, well, if some of you saw on the Instagram and the Facebook and right here on the community post, just to throw out there, a couple of shows coming up in the next few days. Totally forgot about promoting the Richard K. Page show. Author and Luciferian Richard K. Page, who we had him on back in March. I believe it was late March. He'll be back on this Saturday afternoon. So I'm gonna want to put that out there because he lives in the UK. There's a 5-hour time difference, and based on his schedule, late Saturday afternoon is the best time that works out to get him on the show. So he's going to be here this Saturday. All right. I'll remind everybody again later in the show, in the middle, and then towards the end. I will keep pumping out notifications tomorrow and during the day on Saturday to remind everybody. He's a world-known Luciferian and author. Some of you, I know, are very familiar with his work and his books. We're going to be discussing in particular on Saturday afternoon his book, Discovering the Divine. Just to give you a little feedback on it, if you are familiar with Richard K. Page, He took the 7 Hermetic principles and kind of broke it down and explained it. What's up, buddy? No, I don't need that. Thanks. He kind of broke it down and explained it from a Luciferian left-hand path perspective. And I think it's a lot of good information in that book. If you have it and you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of good information that one can use there and apply in their path. So we're going to discuss his book this Saturday afternoon right here on Primordial Chaos YouTube at 4 p.m. You guys will have opportunity to ask him questions in the chat. You'll be able to physically call in and ask him questions. So if you have the book, get your questions prepared. I mean, as I say, when we get these authors and guests here every once in a while, let's take advantage of the opportunity so we could pick their brains and kind of see where they were coming from. And I would look into all Richard K. Page's books. So he'll be here Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'll keep pumping it out over the next 2 days just to remind everybody. And then spoke with Val Cadman earlier today. I also put a announcement out. He'll be here next Thursday. Okay, so we're gonna have Val Cadman back on the show next Thursday night, 8 o'clock. The topic of discussion is going to be Leviathan, Tiamat, and Primordial Chaos. We're going to talk about that from a black magic, left-hand path, occult perspective, and again, how one can utilize that on their work or in their work on this path. All right, so that'll be next Thursday night. Val Cadman will be here. That's the 23rd, right? Next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will also be talking to Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum tomorrow, looking to get him back here in early June. And then Raven Hecker came up with a good idea, and I think we might do that Tuesday, to interview me. I'm going to be the guest on we're going to probably do that next Tuesday. So, you know, you could pick my brain, get a little more maybe personal and some history with me. She came up with that idea. I thought it was, never thought about it, but that's something we're probably going to do next week. So those are the upcoming shows. Again, all the information for them, it is posted on Instagram, Primordial Chaos Instagram. It's posted on the Primordial Chaos Facebook page. I also have it here in the community section on the YouTube page. So looking forward, hopefully you guys will be able to tune into those shows when we have these guests on in the next few days. And then the Dr. Bynum date, I'll get that tomorrow. So look for an announcement to go up for getting Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum back on the show in a few weeks. And then we'll go from there. All right, so that's upcoming shows, upcoming events and announcements. As you know, on the 31st, we have our ritual on Friday, May 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If you are interested in attending, you must email me and request an invite, and then we will go from there. The cutoff date for invites will be the 29th, which is Wednesday. So you can request an invite up to 2 days before the event. We cut it off after that because obviously there's preparation to do for these rituals. We have to have a head count and things of that nature. So if you're interested and want more information, shoot me an email that you see in the description box here in the videos, which I'll give out in a second. Also, again, to keep pumping, as you saw, we put the advertisement, keep pumping it out on the Instagram, the Facebook, our fall event, which is the Journey of the Black Adept 2 conference. This will be our second one. We did it last year. And as I've said before, we're going to keep this a yearly event. It's going to be a 3-day event. And it will be every year, the last weekend in October. And this year it falls on October 25th to the 27th. So if you would like to attend that event, it's going to be different workshops, classes, presentations. There'll be 3 different days of rituals, and then just some fun and some hanging out. If you are coming and you would like to do a presentation at the event, also email me and let me know what topic you would like to do a presentation on. That's in line with the occult left-hand path. So again, that's October 25th to the 27th right here in the North Fort Lauderdale area. You can email me for all the information, same email address. Also online classes, as you know, a little over a week ago, I put the announcement out for that. They're going to start up. The next session is July 20th to August 30th. There's a 1 week break in between that session because I'll actually be in New York that week, the week of August 14th to the 20th. But every other Saturday, there will be a session as we do in the regular sessions. All the information was sent out to those that requested it. If you were on the list, I sent it out to you. If you had emailed me, to the best of my knowledge, I've gotten that information out to everybody. If by chance you did email me, because, you know, when you get a lot of emails, as you know, can go to your junk box. I might have missed somebody or a group of you. So if I missed you and you did email me for information on the online classes and you didn't get them, it's probably because I didn't see the email. So just go ahead and shoot me another email and I can get that information out to you. It has all the information, start times, dates, cost, when it starts, all the information you need is on that email if you are interested in signing up for the summer online class sessions. If you're interested in a spiritual consultation or a reading, I'm pretty much on time right now with the 0.2 days out as I normally do. Just give me a 48-hour notice. And when you email me, just include the important information such as best times and days that you're available that work for you. Very important, you put your time zone in there. I'm on Eastern Standard Time Zone. If you're on Central, East Coast, or West Coast, or you're out of the country, very important you let me know what time zone you're on so I can correlate it to the Eastern Standard Time Zone, all right? Specify if you want a reading or a consultation. There is a difference. A reading is using the system of divination. Consultation is more just like an open free-for-all. We can talk about anything. You could ask whatever questions you want. We could focus on a particular situation, etc. All right? So for any of the aforementioned things that I just talked about, you can send me an email at khnum19@gmail.com. If you forget the email, all you got to do is go to the description box here in the videos. On any of my videos, the email address and the contact information is there. And again, I just want to throw it in one more time. This Saturday, again, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're doing a special show with Richard K. Page, Luciferian and author, who I know some of you who've been watching the channel for a while are familiar with his work. We had him on back in March. He will be here Saturday afternoon to talk about his book, Discovering the Divine. All right. Having said that, the topic tonight, and Raven Hecker will probably be here within a half an hour, 35, 40 minutes, somewhere in that area. So what we're going to talk about this evening is, if any of you are familiar with the Satanic Bible, which was written by Antoine LaVey. All right. Also, I would recommend you check out Dr. Michael Aquino's revision of the Satanic Bible, which, in my opinion, is a great work because it removes a lot of the religious aspect of Satanism. It connects it to the ancient Egyptian Nibiru and the adversary and the prince of darkness as Set. And there's a lot more information in there in addition. You'll see an introduction and a preface by Anton LaVey's daughter and some of his other children who actually supported the work. I know there are some people out there, mainly people from the Church of Satan, that weren't too happy about it. I don't know why. I don't really think there was anything in there that was out of line. I think it did justice to it, but I would recommend you check that work out. I'm going to come from the original Satanic Bible tonight, Anton LaVey. Let me say this. I just want to make this clear. I like to make this clear. As you know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I talk about many different topics. That's just to give you a broad perspective on things. But I want to make this clear. I am by no way, shape, form, or fashion. That doesn't mean I agree with everything in any books that I might make reference to. I just want to make that clear. As I work on my path, I take fit what I see that I can utilize and apply, and I hope you guys do the same. Just because I might make reference to a book, I want to make this clear. Because some people sometimes will send me emails. If I'm making a reference to Michael W. Ford's book or even Richard K. Page or any authors, that doesn't mean I agree or in 100% alignment with everything in their book. I just want to make that clear. That's not why I do it. I'm just doing it and pointing out certain things to give you different perspective and methods to look at things. But you initially should take the initiative to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. So I want to make that clear. Using this section in the Satanic Bible, the Book of Belial, in my opinion, is probably the most solid part of the Satanic Bible. That's just my opinion. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff in it because I think a lot of it has a very religious overtone to it. Others might see it different. I'm really not into that methodology of left-hand path practices, but the Book of Belial is a good blueprint, and I've mentioned this many times over the last couple years. The Book of Belial inside the Satanic Bible can be used as a blueprint in general, or like a roadmap to assist you in your path and doing your ritualistic work. So that's why I chose to take this section tonight and go through it in depth. And I would recommend you guys read it in its entirety when you get a chance, because I think it could be a very helpful tool in your planning and mapping out. Because as I said before, we've been on the line. We've been recently on the last several weeks, even Tuesday night show with the Book of Gates and Ra's nocturnal journey through the underworld, where it's about uncovering the hidden, right? And that's the objective here. Your ritualistic work is about transforming yourself, right? The Book of Belial will give you the foundation, right? And I always ask people, when you're doing work, right? And that's just another term, rituals, working magic, whatever you want to call it. You should be clear on your intent and your purpose. But another thing we're going to talk about tonight is your magic. Is it practical? All right. And this is kind of what the Book of Belial shows you. All right. And again, regardless that it's in the Satanic Bible, you understand, it can be applied, in my opinion, as a guide or a tool on any system on this path. All right. Because it kind of speaks to a multitude of things. As I said before, okay, when you're doing work, and when we say, is your magic practical, are you within reason? Sometimes we're doing unrealistic shit. We may not think so, but we are. So let me give you a brief explanation. And I've used these metaphors in the past. You might love music and you might have aspirations of being a singer. But if you don't have a lick of talent, you could work all the magic rituals you want. That's not going to magically just give you talent to actually be an Oscar, Grammy award-winning singer. So that's called being practical about your magic, all right? Sometimes we don't use that concept because then when it doesn't pan out, we think the results that it's failed. No, because of lack of planning, lack of intent, and not having a game, plan. This is why it could appear to the individual as failure and not getting results. The Book of Belial helps you identify those things. It helps you in the process of working your magic. Then you deal with another aspect of things where people, they're not grounded in reality anymore. This you'll see happen a lot on this path. And I've talked about this many times over the years. We can dupe ourselves into thinking we're connected to some highly spiritual shit. And usually sometimes what happens is people will work rituals and they'll have some type of experience. And it is some type of experience. It's personal and it's subjective, but sometimes it creates a shift in their consciousness and it disconnects them from reality where, everything becomes so subjective. Everything is their personal experiences. They're tapped into this, and then they start thinking they're things that they're not. Now, to them, it's 100% truth, and it is. But where the disconnect comes and not being grounded in reality, it just doesn't transition to the objective and to others around them that may not have had the same experiences. So planning your ritualistic work is important so you stay grounded, because making sure your work is practical. Because when you start opening portholes, dimensions, and connecting to certain energies, and you're not in sound mind, sound body, that can create a serious disconnect. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. All right. So having said that, hold on. Let me just send a link now so I ain't got to do that afterwards. Hold on. Give me a sec. All right. Let me just... hold on a second. All right. All right. So let's go into this. Here's some of the key components. And again, if you watch the channel, okay. If you do watch the channel, you know I try to keep people grounded in reality, because the key would work in this system. This is not what people think it is. I know people hear the word black magic. I know they hear the word satanic or Satan, right? These are just terms and titles. So I'm not sitting, I want to make this clear. This is not talking about your mainstream definition of this, because all that shit you see on the internet, all that stuff you see in the media, on social platforms, it's all spookism. It's all indoctrination. Real left-hand path practices have its origin in ancient Egypt. I told you, go back and look at the 4th dynasty Pharaoh Unas, right? Egyptian Heka or black magic is the foundation to all left-hand paths, right? Though it's never categorized as a spiritual tradition, for blacks, Latinos, Asians, but it is widely practiced worldwide. And there are people from all those ethnicities that are on this path. It's not something they will promote or glorify, because this is not acceptable. It's not mainstream amongst the mainstreamers, right? So automatically, if you're conscious, you're supposed to be affiliated with one of the Hotep groups, right? Or one of the Alafia Ashe groups. And it's not to knock those systems, because I came through them. I was initiated in Ifa. But they're very limited. They're just another form of religion dipped in chocolate, and it doesn't really give you all the answers that you need to know. There's still the system of servitude, following, and worshiping in all those religions. This is about eliminating religion. We don't want to deal with religion no more. Religion is a sickness that's destroying and plaguing the planet. It creates a disease called ignorance that everybody on the planet is suffering from, because religion creates tunnel vision. The person who's the practitioner of a certain religion believes they have a lock and a key on the truth. And usually the people that think they're so 100% right, it's usually they're 100% wrong. They don't see it, and they have what we call cognitive dissonance. Even when you provide them with factual information, they still don't want to accept it. So this is not about that. And this is supposed to dispel the myths or the illusions that you're given on this path. And this path really is about, if you really want to become a god or a goddess, you really want to transform and evolve, this is the path. But it's not just a pathway it's talked about. It's actually done. All these other paths talk about it. I'm a god and I'm a goddess and, this and that. But this is about actually doing work. The problem is with all those other paths, what ritualistic work do they do consistently to get them to that point? Nothing. It's just a bunch of talking and historical data back and forth and debating, fussing, and fighting. It's a waste of time. This path isn't about that. This path is, you lay out your path to self-mastery. That's what makes it unique. Are you going to agree with everything? Absolutely not. And you shouldn't, because you should be a free thinker. Are you going to agree with everything I say? If you've been watching my channel for the last couple of years, should you agree with everything I say? Absolutely not. You should have your own perspective. Are there going to be a lot of things you resonate with that I say? Of course. But don't just agree with things because I'm saying them or anybody else is saying them. Do your own research, come to your own conclusion. Take what you feel works for you on your path, and something that you're just not gravitating to or you don't agree with, you just toss it to the side. That's called laying your path to self-mastery. So we're not identified by one spiritual system. The left-hand path incorporates so many different spiritual systems, but you have the liberty and freedom to do that. Really, you can't even put a term on it. We just use that term Left-hand path just means opposite from the right, because the right is always the positive side and the left is supposed to be the negative side. Left-hand path is just a term that describes not being a conformist, being adverse to the bullshit, thinking for yourself, sole ruler and governor of your spirituality. That's all it means. It's just a term. You really can't put a title on this path because it deals with a multitude of spiritual systems. It deals with the ancient Egyptian form of Hecker black magic, Luciferianism, Babylonian magic, if you work that, vampirism. List goes on and on. Whatever path you want to incorporate in this in some shape, form, or fashion, it can be done. And the person that can do that is you. So I want to make that clear moving forward, because in reference to what I'm saying earlier about the Satanic Bible, I don't accept everything in the Satanic Bible. Some of it, I got to be honest, is quite comical to me. So let me just kind of put that out there. But as I said before, when I'm about to go through some information, the Book of Belial to me is something that is very universal, that can be applied in general. So that's what you do when you read and you study. You don't have to read a book and accept everything in it. That's why people think you have to, in order to be Luciferian, you must exclusively be Luciferian, make a declaration. No, Luciferian is a concept. It represents a state of mind. It's an approach to study and knowledge. A Luciferian recognizes he or she that they are God, they are goddess, that nothing outside of them is God but themselves, right? That's the key principle of Luciferianism. A lot of people are Luciferian in nature. So we got to stop getting caught up in the titles as if they're religions and you have to be exclusive to them. That is not true. I come from the concept of the mindset of Luciferianism and what it represents. I don't agree with everything in Luciferianism. I'm using that as another example, but it represents a certain mentality and a certain mode of thinking. That's how you got to approach it. So you don't have to be full-fledged or full-blown anything. And I've watched people get into that trap. They fall in love with vampirism. They fall in love with this and that, and they want to be exclusively that. That subconsciously is a representation of some internal insecurity, because that's still the need to be comfortable, right? And that's the problem. People get on a spiritual system, they stay with it, they become loyal to it, and then they can't leave it or change because they felt like I've been doing it so long. Some are afraid of change, and they just stay with it because they've been with it so long. Just because you've been doing something so long doesn't mean it's right, okay? That's an illusion. Don't fall for that bullshit. So you should always be prepared for change and growth. You should always challenge yourself. This path isn't about getting comfortable. If you're looking for a comfortable, fluffy path where you want to feel all fuzzy and warm and safe and secure, ain't the path for you, Jack. You might as well find something else. Go back to being, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew. Go back into Ifa, Santeria. Go back into being a Hotepper. Put on your big ass ankh, splash yourself with some oil and walk around saying Hotep so you feel comfortable and stay within your parameters. You know why a lot of those people won't come on this side and debate this path? Because they ain't got absolutely no clue what it's fucking about. And they'll get eaten up and devoured. All right. They don't really know shit about ancient Egypt. They talk about Egypt, but they never talk about Heka, right? That's a whole nother story. But anyway. All right. Book of Belial. If you do have a Satanic Bible, if you would like to follow along with some of the stuff I'm going to go through, you could actually go to, hold on. Let me find it. Actually, let me go to there. I can never remember the page. All right, here we go. Okay, let's go to page 107, the Book of Belial, the Mastery of Earth. All right, I'm not going to really read through them. I'm going to just go through the titles of some of the key points and kind of explain them in my own words. So I'm not going to really read through it. But if you want to follow along with the outline, that's where I'm at. If you have a hard copy of the Satanic Bible, if you have a digital version, just go to the section, the Book of Belial. And as you see when you get there, page 110, the theory and practice of what they call satanic magic, right? So I'm just going to read that short section. And then if you go forward, we're going to go through the ingredients. The ingredients, I'm not going to read word for word. I'm going to highlight each one just so you know kind of what I'm going to do tonight, and then kind of explain it in my own words, because obviously there's no time to read through all of this. So I'll just go through them in sections. But I do want to read this short section on the theory and practice of satanic or black magic. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time and you're getting scared and spooked out because you hear the word Satan, you definitely need to do some research and study. It's just a action, a title that means adversary. If you study your Bible in Hebrew, you'll see the word Satan all throughout the Bible, not referring to some demonic evil character, describing an action. Anytime you see the word adversary in the Hebrew, you see the word Satan. Okay, so the title is not exclusive to this mythological biblical character, right? That gets into a whole nother system of fuckery. But do your research, people. And that's the reason why religious people are the easiest people to fool and confuse and dupe. Most of them don't even know the languages that their holy books were written in. And that's the funny thing. They want to argue, fight, and debate about biblical scriptures or Quranic scriptures, and they don't even speak any of the language. And I'm not even talking about being a linguistic scholar. I'm talking about basic understanding of Aramaic, Hebrew, Syriac Arabic, Quraysh Arabic, Arabic fusion, none of those things. They don't have no knowledge of any of them, but they want to debate, fuss, and fight and use an English translation of the Bible to prove their points. And all you got to do is go online, for an example. The online Blue Study Bible is the complete translation. You can find also in there the Greek, the Septuagint, all that stuff, literally word for word translated into ancient languages. So again, you don't need to speak it fluently if that's your choice, but you just need to have common sense and a brain and do research. The average Christian, Muslim, or Jew doesn't do it. They rely solely on what Pastor Porkchop, Rabbi Ripoff, and Imam fuckery tell them. They just just because they got a title or they went to some university or some theologian seminary and they're standing behind a pulpit or giving a khutbah, that means that their word is infallible. That's not true, okay? You're falling for the Kool-Aid if you believe just because a person has one of them titles that they're infallible. You should be questioning everything. So we don't fall for that stuff, okay? All right, so again, this is the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey, right? All right, one of the most famous works in the left-hand path, right? It's like $6 on Amazon, $8, whatever the fuck it is. All right. The definition, can't even fucking talk. The definition of magic as used in this book is the change in situations or events in accordance with one's will. So what is black magic? Okay, just read it there, because I always ask people this: you're a black magician? Yeah. Well, define to me what black magic is. Well, there's a basic explanation: the change in situations or events in accordance with one's will, enforcing your will for a favorable outcome, right? This is going to make more sense when we get into intent and fuel, right? That's why you should be working magic. That's how you improve yourself. That should be your approach. Now, of course, there's going to be many different methods on the approach, but in general, that should be your approach, all right? In accordance with one's will, which would usually normally accepted methods be unchangeable. This admittedly leaves a large area for personal interpretation. It will be said by some that these instructions and procedure are nothing more than applied psychology or scientific fact called by magical terminology, until they arrive at a passage in the text that is based on no known scientific finding. Now, let me explain this. Why other people that are in religious systems or certain spiritual paths, they think that everything they experience or get a higher understanding of is going to be recorded in some book somewhere. That's not true. The problem with your people, there's a big thing in the conscious community called pseudoism, right? And it's basically a convenient term a lot of people will use when they can't explain something. Because these are your people that are so religified with books. Everything's got to be correlated to some source, some author. some factual evidence. Now that applies when you're dealing with history and in an aspect science, but you can't, that does not apply in dealing with higher levels of spirituality and magic, because not all of it, when you're dealing with your subjective realm, right? Everybody has their own subjective realms, I should say, a multitude of universes they're able to tap in via their mental. And that's not all recorded in a book somewhere. Because you can think back and reflect back when, from the time you were younger to the present, think of all the crazy shit you dream about and think about. Where's that stuff coming from? Is all of it correlated in the book? Think of some of the experiences that you've had. They're subjective in nature because they're personal, because you created them. Not all that is going to be found in a book, okay? So we have to get out of that way of thinking. Now, I'm not talking about what your standard history and science and mathematics. Yes, there's some things that are just common sense. That's where you apply logic and reasoning, okay? But that kind of, to an extent, changes when you start tapping into the subjective realm. That changes when you start to vibrate and operate outside of three-dimensional existence and thinking, person, place, or thing. When one takes flight or taps into the astral, the spiritual realm, right? They are not confounded by three-dimensional concepts and ways of thinking, right? They're not confounded to things that a person, places, thing. The fucked up thing about it is a lot of these people that are refuting all these facts, there's nothing that they can come at you with that is not defined by a person, place, or a thing, because they don't practice high levels of spirituality. Everything is very objective. It's very man-made, man-orientated, and it's still reliance on a system of worship, gratitude, and some form of hierarchy, whether they admit it or not. So let's toss that bullshit out the window. If you're looking for a system where you can fact check every single thing in a book, not the system for you either. Because as you have your own experiences, you're going to see you created them, and not all of that is you're going to be able to relate to some, historical source. So fuck your pseudoism and your concept of pseudoism. That word tends to be used and abused, unfortunately, in my opinion. All right. So let me get back to this. It is for this reason that no attempt has been made to limit the explanation set forth to a set nomenclature. Magic is never totally scientifically explainable. That's why I was just saying what I was saying. Because you're tapping into realms, right? And your experiences, you'll know, trust me. And some of you probably already know because you have those experiences. It can't all be scientifically backed up. And remember, the only person you need to prove something to is yourself. See, we're on this path. We're not interested in trying to impress or enforce upon others what we know and badger them and make us look like we know everything. If you are doing ritualistic work, working magic, and you're getting results, that's the only thing. There's your validation there. You don't need to prove that shit to nobody. It's irrelevant. Now, that doesn't mean you can't talk with people of like mind, similar experiences, because, of course, I'm talking to the non-believers, right? The doubters. Don't waste your time and energy arguing, fussing, and debating. I did that shit for years. Now, those that know me, if you catch me on the wrong fucking day, and this ain't out of arrogance, it's out of confidence. Catch me on the wrong day when I just feel like fucking with your hotep shit and your religious garbage and like those that know me, I know that Bible, that Quran, those Egyptian texts front to back. If you catch me on the wrong day, we will have a very interesting conversation, and I guarantee you're gonna leave it not feeling good about yourself. But I don't really fuck with that no more, unless you're a complete idiot and you feel the need to badger and, be aggressive with your stupidity. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, this isn't about any of that. This isn't about you having to validate yourself to others. Worry about validating yourself to yourself first. That's the problem with all those others. Everybody's so busy trying to prove to everybody else what they know. But how can you really do anything for anybody else if you yourself are not correct? You're not right. You're not operating at your prime potential, right? That's what this path is about, to bring out that. Now, let me say this.
We're striving to become a god or a goddess, right? I keep saying that. If we were at that divine state and had it all figured out, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. We wouldn't be doing any reading. We wouldn't be doing any study. We know we're tapped in to an aspect of the divine, and that's why we come on this path. We're tapped into that energy, to that connection. We're continuously working it to grow, to evolve and change. So we are striving to become. It's a continual process. And in that state of becoming, we have moments of those states of godliness. Some call it in ancient Egypt and some left-hand paths, Kepera, right? Where we have come into being of who and what we really are. Not who we think we are, not who we want other people to see us as, but who we really are, right? We remanifest ourselves, as they say, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about this. That's what this is. That's what this is about, all right? And if you don't understand that, then maybe you need to reevaluate why you're on this path. Because this ain't about the gimmicks, and there's a lot of gimmicky shit out there. People like to use props and gimmicks, and, you know, that stuff doesn't work because it fades in time. Results is the only thing that stands the test of time. Don't let nobody shake you. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, people that'll come on the scene with gimmicks, but they're fly-by-nights. They disappear just as quick as they come. And not just on this path. You see it on all the other paths. There's always some hot topic or some hot gimmick, like, you know, something happens in the news. You know, then all these social media platforms and conscious circles, they're doing YouTube videos on it, right? Dr. Sabi now is all back in there. Anything that they can, Nipsey Hussle, when Nipsey Hussle passed, everybody was doing fucking videos on Nipsey Hussle. When Bill Cosby got indicted, everybody wanted to get their intense spiritual breakdown on Bill Cosby. You know what I say to that? Who gives a shit? I couldn't care about none of that stuff. People will email me with the stupid shit. I don't even care. See, my time and energy isn't invested into that nonsense, okay? People that get caught up in that nonsense, they don't really want to learn and master themselves. They want to be entertained. And I found that to be a problem with a lot of people on this path. Some people take this path as a social club. Not just this path, other circles too. They want to be entertained. They like shit to cater to their ego and make them feel good. But when that wears off, it's like a crackhead. Once the crackhead's high wears off, he's looking for the next hit, right? So you won't see me doing videos on here like that. And Bill Cosby, look, you've seen him on other social media platforms. I mean, you've seen Sonnet, all these different groups that are connected to him. They'll get on there and they'll do a whole video I've seen it on the Bill Cosby situation. I've seen him do when Nipsey Hussle passed away. You got motherfuckers doing videos on Nipsey Hussle. You know what kills me? It's funny that when Nipsey, and all due respect to the brother, I didn't really know him, so I'm not going to be hypocritical and speak about him. But it appears from what I did hear about him, he obviously was a positive brother. So I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and pass judgment. But you know what the funny thing is? Why is it after these people die, everybody wants to promote how great they were when they're dead and gone? They did it to Bob Marley, the list goes on, Jimi Hendrix. These guys become more icons when they're dead and gone. How come these same people who now all of a sudden are experts on Nipsey Hussle wasn't saying shit about him when he was alive? Now all of a sudden he was this and he was that, he was doing all this stuff. But why weren't the powers that be putting him in the forefront? And don't come with no spooky shit. I'm saying that to say that people are just tapping into something that's hot. That's all. If they were honest with themselves, I'm bringing it up to say because it's a hot topic at the time when it happened, unfortunately, let me talk about it because that's what everybody's talking about, right? You've seen it on all these different platforms. Now that enough of time has gone by, what's happened? It's died out. Nobody's talking about it no more until there's some type of gain from it. That's what I'm talking when I'm talking about gimmicky shit. That's not what we do. That's not what this is about. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a path to be entertained, this ain't it. Tell me, this shit is work. And if you ain't willing to work, if you think you're just going to sit back, parlay, read some books, attend a few lectures, watch some YouTube videos, and boom, you're an occult master, shit. You got a long road, partner. It ain't going to work. All right. Anyway, let me get through this. All right. But science has always been, meaning explainable, at one time or another considered magic, right? There's no difference between, this is important to this here, there's no difference between white and black magic except in the smug hypocrisy, guilt-ridden righteousness, and self-deceit of the white magician himself. So this path, don't confuse this either with Wicca. Wicca is earth magic. If you want to put on a Viking helmet and run around dancing and banging on pans and calling out Odin, this ain't the path for you either. You know, if you and look, I gotta keep it real. Earth magic serves a purpose, but even that in nature can be very religious. Okay. In the classical religious tradition, white magic is performed for altruistic, benevolent, and good purposes, while black magic is used for self-aggrandizement, personal power, and evil purposes. So they say, no one on earth ever pursued occult studies, metaphysics, yoga, or any other white light concept without ego gratification and personal power as a goal. It just so happens that some people enjoy wearing hair shirts and others prefer velvet or silk. What is pleasure to one is pain to another, and the same applies to good and evil. Every practitioner of witchcraft is convinced that he or she is doing the right thing. So what is that talking about? Perception. What is truth? What is right or wrong? What is good or evil? It's based on perception. Because 4 or 5 people can look at the same thing and all have a different opinion on it, but it's supposed to be the same thing. Okay? That's a reality. What might be evil to somebody might not be evil to the next person, and vice versa. So truth is personal. Okay? Truth is very personal. And I did a video a little while back. Is there a such thing as pure, undiluted truth? Most people on the surface will tell you yes. That's not true. Truth is personal. It becomes undiluted and pure truth to you when you raise yourself to the realization of it and the reality of it. That's when it becomes real truth. When you just accept truths that are forced upon you, let's say via a belief or a faith system, that's not pure undiluted truth. That's truth grounded in faith and belief. And you have faith and you trust and you hope that that's the truth. So there's not such a thing, regardless. I know people will say otherwise, right? And we're not talking about basic truths, all right? Again, 1 + 1 is motherfucking 2. We're not talking about stuff like that. When we're talking from a spiritual perspective, is there such a thing? It's personal, people. Perception has a lot to do with it. Magic falls into 2 categories: ritual or ceremonial, and non-ritual or manipulative. Ritual magic consists of the performance of a formal ceremony excuse me, taking place at least in part within the confines of an area set aside for such purposes at a specific time. And this could be indoors, this could be outdoors, this could be in your ritual chamber, in a ritual room. Magic can be practiced anywhere. Let's establish that. Magic is also, rituals and workings are also done outdoors in nature, right? You can do magic while in your car driving to work. There's a mental or a manipulative aspect of magic, as it mentioned. There's so many ways to work this, or so many ways to manipulate it. It's just when we go through the ingredients here, you'll know the timing and the planning and what approach to use. So there's a time for that full-blown magic ritual with the full bells and whistles, the altar, the pentagram, the dagger, the incense, the black robe. You know, there's definitely, and again, that's an important part of this path, because the systems are rooted in those ritualistic workings, right? But there's so many other methods too that branch out from that. Again, it's as simple as you could be driving in your car to your destination and visualizing something. You putting thought power to it. You can visualize the outcome of how you want to see it in your mind's eye. It could be something that's saying an invocation silently to yourself while you're riding. You could be outside walking in a park, down at the beach or the water, right? Magic can be worked anyway, and a good magician has the ability, he or she, to do it anywhere, any place, anytime. But one has to get familiar with the approach: when, the where, the how, and the why. That's where I think some people get a little confused, which we will get into once I get through this. All right. All right. Its main function is to isolate the otherwise dissipated adrenal and other emotionally induced energy and convert it into dynamically transmittable force. It is purely an emotional rather than an intellectual act. Any and all intellectual activity must take place before the ceremony, not during it. This is what I mean when I see so many people going into ritualistic work trying to figure everything out before they do it. That's what I'm talking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. What it said there. You can't. When you approach ritual, you should be fully engulfed and submerged in that ritual. When you're over intellectualizing shit, you kill the experience. So as it said, do your research, gather your information before, so you are completely comfortable going into the work, and so you're not distracted trying to figure it out. And I can sit here and tell you over the last couple of years how many times I've seen people come to rituals that we do here, scared, looking scared out their fucking mind, because they're trying to figure out what's going to happen before it all goes on. If they just simply took approach and trusted in themselves and went into the work with confidence, they would gain the full benefits of the work. But because they're so busy trying to over intellectualize shit, we literally get people, this is my favorite person. They come, and then we've smashed that. We don't have this problem no more, but this is why we do the invite now, because we don't want the spooky individual coming. We've gotten in the past, before we did this request by invite approach, where people would show up and they're slick and they want to ask all these questions. Oh, so what is it we're doing? Oh, so what is it? What? Either you want to participate or you don't. You should have did that. That work should have been done before you showed up. You don't get here now and think somebody's going to give you a full crash course on what this ritual is about. That's fucking ridiculous. But it goes to show you how ignorant the person is, and it goes to show you they're not really doing work. They're just that, the cat that's curious. And what's the old saying? Curiosity kills the cat, right? And most of them get killed mentally, emotionally, and spiritually because they didn't do their due diligence. This path is about, you got to do the work, because I'll be damned if you show up to a work in here, you think I'm going to give you this long crash course on it. That's what the invite is about. We talk to you. What work are you doing in this area? If you want to attend this ritual, explain to me what work you're doing in this area. What are you familiar with? What do you know about it? Can you give me some documented work that you've done? That's not because we're trying to question you and put you on the spot and make you feel bad. That's just so we know we're on the same wavelength and the same frequency. Because if you're coming to a ritual to do work with something you don't know about, that's pointless. Okay? Anyway. All right. Let me just get through the rest of this. This type of magic is sometimes known as greater magic, or we say greater black magic. Non-ritual or manipulative magic, sometimes called lesser magic, consists of the wile and guile obtained through various devices and contrived situations, which when utilized can create change in accordance with one's will. In olden times, this would be called fascination, glamour, or the evil eye. Most of the victims of witch trials were not witches. Often the victims were eccentric old women who were either senile or did not conform to society. Others were exceptionally attractive women who turned the heads of men in power and were not responsive to their advances. The real witches were rarely executed or even brought to trial, as they were proficient in the art of enchantment and could harm the men and save their own lives. Most of the real witches were sleeping with the inquisitors. This is the origin of the word glamour. The antiquated meaning of glamour is witchcraft. The most important asset to the modern witch is her ability to be alluring or to utilize glamour. The word fascination has a similarly occult origin. Fascination was the term applied to the evil eye, to fix a person's gaze. In other words, fascinate was to curse them with the evil eye. Therefore, if a woman had the ability to fascinate men, she was regarded as a witch. Learning to effectively utilize the command to look in an integral part of a witch's. Now, here's a funny thing. When you hear men always using the word bitch, maybe they really mean witch. Because most men get frustrated with a woman Most of those men who think they have this animosity and hate towards the women, it's actually the reverse. They're enamored and fascinated by the woman. You see that? So I don't know if that's a coincidence that the words sound very similar. The etymology might be different, but the words sound very similar. And I don't think that's a coincidence. And that term is so freely thrown out now. It's like a regular part of culture now, right? Learning to effectively utilize the command to look is an integral part of a witch's or warlock's training. To manipulate a person, you must first be able to attract and hold his attention. All right. The three methods by which the command to look can be accomplished are the utilization of sex, sentiment, or wonder, or any combination of the three. All right. Anyway, I'm going to skip the rest of this because it just gets into some of the categories of witch for the sake of time. Read it on your own. I'm going to go now to the types and get into some of the ingredients. All right. Once I'm done with this, I will go into the chat. I will look at some of your questions, your comments. Just be patient. And then I'll go through some of the questions and comments, and I'll open the phone lines if you would like to come in and ask a question. All right. The three types of rituals. All right. And they're based on sex or lust, compassion, or concerning destruction. All right. And these are some of the basic rules. All right. Concerning sex or lust, take full advantage of spells and charms that work. If you are a man, plunge deeply into her with, as it says here, with lascivious delight. All right. Compassion. We're just going to go through the short explanations. This is probably the one you're going to use more than anything because your passion connects to your desires. So things that you're trying to accomplish is always going to fall in line with that. That's the one you're going to utilize for the most part. And then the third one, which is something you should rarely have to use unless you got crazy shit going on, destructive magic, that exists. That's working magic to destroy things, including people, if so need be. That should always be used with extreme wisdom. Those arts should never be used for revenge or just because you have a dislike for somebody for no apparent reason. There has to be some justifiable cause there, right? Or if your life is in danger. So that's something that the magician has to definitely educate him or herself on when applying that, because there's responsibilities, consequences, and actions that come along with working destructive magic, all right? But it exists, okay? And it's been used for a long time, okay? All right, so the first thing we want to talk about in getting into some of these ingredients, all right? Let me check with Raven. Are you there, or anything you want to add? I know you're kind of getting situated. Not sure if you're busy, just listening. Did you want to come in, talk, add something? Talk to me. Okay, you must be busy.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to free up, but go ahead and get into the different ingredients.
Okay. All right. Woo, woo, woo. The ritual chamber. That's the first one. Let's talk about that. All right. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. I always think any working magician should have some sacred space that they've set up for your main work, right? You should have an area where you do your ritualistic work, an altar, a place where you might go to do this work, a room or space that you've consecrated for your work. Why? Because you stamp your energy and your power in that room. It starts to become a regular familiarity with yourself because your energy is connected to it. You'll find when you do a lot of the work, it starts to feel different than any other place. You should also, that should be the place where you keep your consecrated working tools, etc., your implements, etc. To me, a ritual chamber is very important to a magician that practices magic consistently. But again, is it mandatory? Absolutely not. All right, so let's make that clear. That's up to you. But highly recommended because I think it's going to enhance your work even more. All right. Now, how you set up that ritual chamber, let's talk about that. All right, that's entirely up to you. Okay. Imagery is important when setting up altars and ritual chambers. Because what that imagery does, what the implements and the tools do, it just creates a more powerful energy. Because obviously, you're going to have symbols, sigils, tools, certain images that connect with the type of work you do. When you set up your ritual chamber correctly with the right imagery, you're able to just gaze upon some of these symbols and imageries, and it unlocks a certain part of your consciousness. It just opens you up. It puts you into an immediate receptive state. Are they needed again? Absolutely not. But again, I would highly recommend it. All right. So how you set that up, because people will ask this a lot. All right. It should be in accordance with things you have a connection with, obviously. So again, people always send me, how should I set up an altar? There is not one specific way to do it. What kind of things are you interested in? What kind of work do you do? Well, that's what your altar should be centered around setting up. Now, I always recommend this. You should have, if you work with any other type of systems, I've always told people you should have a specific altar only for doing black magic type of work. I don't think you should mix that with anything else. Again, it's my opinion because that can get a little conflicting. But you should have what I call a working altar, a suggestion. But again, is it mandatory? Absolutely not. So set it up in accordance with the stuff you deal with, what you work with. What symbols resonate with you, right? What spiritual paths do you work? What type of ritualistic work are you doing? Well, that's how you set your altar up. There is no construct. There is no set way. I know that other systems will tell you, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. That's bullshit. You do what you feel like, whatever you feel and get the urge. That's how you set it up.
It has to be in the east. It has to be in the west.
No. Right. Yeah. That's my favorite. Should I put it in the east? That one kills me right there. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's your ritual chamber. Self-explanatory, not that complicated. You should basically have the standard working tools. What do I mean when I say the standard working tools? Now, I'll give you the quick rundown, but we've had in a couple of the different online sessions, we go through this in depth and detail. We do in-depth explanations and demonstrations. I ain't gonna do that here for the sake of time, but I'll give you some of the quick tips. All right. Because of the work that you do, your standard, you should have what they call an altar tower or a pentagram, a dagger, right? You should have some form of representation of a skull, a human skull. I'm not talking about, you have to go get a real human skull. You should have, backdrops of imagery are very important. So if the symbol of Baphomet resonates with you, or some other type of occult symbol, they could be backdrops on your altar. I do recommend you put black cloth on it, and you should have your central flame on there, your black flame. It could be a black candle, however you see fit, but you should always have something representing the black flame, which is prominent because that's the primordial source or energy. That's what connects you to what we call the primordial chaotic energy. You'll hear it, the black flame or the gift of Set. It links you into all of those powers and abilities. You'll find most of the Frequently used colors in ritualistic work on this path is black and red, white sometimes, just depending on the type of work you're doing. So you should get familiar with all that. And if you so choose, you're working with particular archetypes, you can have representations and imagery on your altar with the type of work with certain systems you do. As you go through time, you'll play around with it. You'll add, you'll subtract, you'll make changes, because as you grow and experience, you're going to have different, levels of motivation. There's going to be some stuff you just change, you don't fuck with no more. So that's the quick explanation. And you should have a bell, because most rituals are opened and closed with a bell, because it represents opening those gates of consciousness. Now, I prefer to use a Tibetan bowl. I like to gong that 9 times. I don't use a traditional bell. But again, you can get creative with that too if you see fit. If you do obsidian black mirror magic work, you should have an obsidian mirror. If you're doing that type of work, that can be on the altar. The list goes on and on. I'm just giving you the quick rundown of it. But again, as you go through time and grow, that stuff's going to constantly be evolving and constantly be changing. All right. So that's the quick version. That's your chamber, right? That's the first ingredient. So now the ingredients in the performance of working this magic. Let's talk about desire. That's key, people. I can't stress enough. You hear this saying, how bad do you really want it? Right? It's like the athlete. How really bad do they want to win that championship? Right? How bad do you really want it? When you're working something on this path, have you asked yourself, how bad do you really want it? Your passion and your desire is what fuels your intent. This is something you must map out before going into any type of working. Because if the desire isn't there, you're wasting your fucking time, people. Don't even bother doing the working or the ritual or the magic. You're wasting your time. And never forcefully go into a working. Some people think I'm just going to go through the motions. Like, let me give you an example. If you come home and you're fucking butt ass tired, don't try to go to your altar and do some work. There's no desire, there's no passion, there's no energy there, because you're forcing the issue. And basically what you're doing is wasting time. It's not going to work. So your desire should always be at its peak. Your passion and what you're trying to accomplish should always be invigorating, and it should always be strong. So always really check that, right? When you're doing work, how bad do you desire this? How bad do you want it? Now, as we get later on down in a few ingredients, remember, practicality is going to come into play. So let's not get spooky and shit, all right? Because the most important part of this path is creating that harmony between the objective and the subjective. Because, as I said earlier, some people get so engrossed in the spiritual realm that they lose sight of everyday reality. These are people that want to levitate and do all this fucking high forms of magic, but this is not being judgmental or knocking anybody, but their physical life is a hot mess. They can't pay their bills. Their family life is a hot garbage. They got all types of conflicts going on in their life. So they try to escape that by being so spiritual, so deep, and so heavy, right? We know people like this. I'm sure you probably know somebody like this. They want to levitate, meditate all day and work magic, but they ain't even got $5 in their pocket for a hot sandwich.
And so my question is that person grounded? So if they are so want to be levitated, then they're not grounded.
No,
they're not living in reality, right?
Nope.
And because that's one of the.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, isn't that just like one of the first things before you just start practicing magic is to make sure that you're grounded? Didn't you just stated that? Didn't I just miss that? Did you just state that one of the things is to be grounded?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. But we're going to get into it even further when it comes to practicality. Okay, you have to be grounded, because you must master the objective or the physical before you can be any spiritual guru or master. All right. So if you can't take care of successfully your everyday life's responsibilities, and I'm not talking about you being a millionaire and having tons of money. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm not gauging it just on money and wealth. but consistently taking care of your shit. Motherfuckers can't even do that. They can't even take care of their kids. They can't even take care of their family, let alone they can't even take care of themselves, but they want to be gurus and masters, and they want to tell you how they levitate, or they want to give you advice on health, and they want to tell you, take this vitamin and this herb, and they're coughing all the time and they're sick. Yeah, that's a disconnect there. So you know you're not grounded in reality. So they get so engrossed in the spiritual because it's an escape from everyday life that they fail at. And this path is about having the harmony and being successful at both. Anybody that tells you not being successful in the physical is foolish. Anybody who tells you that it's wrong to have money or materialistic things and enjoy life is a fool. That's because they don't enjoy life. They're miserable. They're in some spooky philosophical system that tells them don't be in the world, but not of it. That's all bullshit. That's usually the person who is unsuccessful at everything that they do in life. So they want you to be miserable and unsuccessful with them too. That's why all those conscious paths promote this. You know, this is the thing that I never got. When did being unsuccessful and broke become synonymous with being conscious? That's what I'm confused with. Because not all, but I remember when I was in them systems years ago, it was like the end thing to be, oh yeah, but you broke, but you sacrificing for the mission. You out there teaching the truth. That's the biggest bunch of bullshit in the world. Okay? Because after a while, you get tired of watching everybody else be successful, and you got this whack-ass excuse because you're so spiritual, right? You're on a mission to save everybody, right? How can you save anybody if you can't save your damn self? You're no good to anybody if you're not right yourself. That's what I mean. So the person that's not grounded, they're no good to themselves, but they don't see it. But rather than focus on getting their shit right, they so busy and trying to tell everybody else what they should and should not do.
But if they work in this path successfully, wouldn't that be brought to the forefront? They would have to face that. So even if they think that they are all guru this and guru that, even if they did a working, because no working, as he states and I thought about that today, no working is a practice run, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you caught yourself getting in front of your altar or whatever you're doing it, wherever you're doing it, the question I'm asking is, would it eventually drag up or bring up those things about yourself that needs correcting?
Most definitely. And like you said a minute ago, it'll come up. You're going to have to either, if you don't deal with it, you get consumed by it. And then the next step is, and this happens in drastic cases, then you'll wind up eventually at some point in time, the person will go what we would classify on the outside as being nutty. They start hearing voices. They think they're communicating with entities, and they are, because a certain part of their psyche has been unlocked. They just don't know how to harmonize it. So that's what I mean when I say they get so lost in the spiritual or the subjective aspect of things that everything now is about an experience. They talk to entities, they see things. This is all they talk about because they've gotten so disconnected. And again, in their mind, that is happening. So let me make that clear. But the problem is it becomes a disconnect where that can't be translated to everybody else's subjective or objective. And they focus more time on trying to convince others of that when it's not about that, okay? Because you shouldn't accept anybody's subjective experience unless you raised yourself up to a similar or like experience. So if somebody comes to you and says, oh yeah, last night I was sitting in my backyard and I saw a UFO, or last night in my dream, Callie came to me and did this to me and this and that. If you go, oh yeah, okay, cool, and I believe that, then you're just as big as an idiot as a person who accepts some hippie that got nailed to a cross and died for your sins, and there's no proof of that. So you're in the same boat. You've just converted to a religion. Okay, you should never accept another's subjective experience unless you have had a like or similar experience. These are little methods of how you stay grounded. But what tends to happen is, and that's why you'll see in certain systems, you'll see in certain books, people will write, be careful when you practice black magic. There could be some harmful effects of it. Well, what the harmful effects can be psychologically and mentally, You could start fucking with certain systems and energy and open up portions of your psyche that you're not ready to be opened. That's a reality. And it fills this insecurity that you had. You didn't realize it, but what it does now, it's giving you an avenue or a block to hide behind. And I've seen this happen to many people over the years. And again, I won't even waste my time getting into it. I've told some stories about it over the years. I've seen it take people to the lowest of low, where I've seen motherfuckers dress up, dye their hair, wear purple fingernails, purple eyeshadow. Motherfuckers thought, one dude thought he was the angel Gabriel. I'm going back. I think I've told that story in the past. And they're in a whole nother mental plane. And it's not for the better. In their mind, they think it's for the better. And they'll say things like, nobody understands me. I'm different. Those are usually the signs. We're all different. That's why we're all on this path. You understand? That's why we're here. Because we recognize the fact we are not like everybody else. But we don't have to go to the extreme to stress it. And there's a disconnect there. Usually that's because some trauma has been unlocked. And it could be something that goes way back for when the individual was younger. Okay? There could be many reasons for it. But one must stay grounded in reality. Where you going?
Bye.
Anyway. Yeah, but yes, I don't even know where we went. I know we got a little bit off topic. Well, not off topic. I know we went a couple different places. All right. So I think we get the point with desire, fueling the intent, the passion behind it. That's key. That's ingredient number one. All right. Second one is timing. Now this goes into a couple of different areas. Okay, with timing. All right. Now, are there times where randomly, on the fly, where you just randomly will do something? Of course. So sometimes there's aspects where you're going to do ritualistic or magical work, and there really isn't a set time. So we're not talking about that. That's something you use your raw instinct for. So what this ingredient basically is talking about, when you do have the time and you've actually thought it out and you're getting ready to actually plan something in advance, we're talking about. All right, timing is everything. Now, let me address a few things that some people, in my opinion, get caught up with. There's some people that like to get extreme with the planetary movements, the waxing or the waning of the moon, the astrological signs. Does that have an effect energy-wise on your magic and the work? Can it help it? Can it affect it? Most definitely. Is it mandatory or necessary? In my opinion, absolutely not. Again, if you have that power and the ability, you can do it any place, anytime, regardless of the waxing or the waning of the moon, the astrological sign, and all that stuff. I recommend, if you have the time and you're planning, it doesn't hurt if you want to plan it in accordance with any of those concepts. So I'm not saying don't, I'm not saying do. What I'm saying is that's up to you, and it's not 100% mandatory. So I want to address that because I see a lot of people get very caught up in that. Oh, I can't do this, work this because we're in this astrological sign or the moon is what. It's here, people. If you start thinking that in your mind and you start to convince yourself, you're diminishing your power. See, we have to supersede past all of that, in my opinion, lesser concepts of information. All right? So that's entirely up to you. If you got the time, you want to plan according to an astrological chart, the waxing, waning of the moon, positioning of the sun and the planets, power to you. It's only going to enhance your work. So I want to make sure you understand the flip side of both of that. As far as that is timing. Timing is also very important. Like I said earlier, don't do shit when you're tired, drained, not in the right frame of mind. That is definitely the wrong type of timing. You should never go into any type of ritualistic work, whether it's individually or collectively in a group, in an agitated state of mind. That's another mistake. All right, so timing deals with that. When you have time to plan, you should make sure you can plan it at a time where the mind isn't going to be racing, isn't going to be stressed out, distracted by other things. This is very important. That's why we say on this path, the most powerful hours to do ritualistic work is in the evening hours, or even especially in the late evening hours, midnight, to 4 a.m. if can be. I'm not saying everybody has the ability to do that. Maybe their personal schedules don't allow them. That's because that energy or that time of the night is more tranquil. And as I explained this before, regardless, that's when your neuromelanin is most activated, right? People think it's in the daytime. It's not. Your powers are weak in the day. In the nocturnal hours, they're way more powerful. So you have to have an understanding of that. Timing is important with that, and I can't stress that enough. So never go into anything drained, tired, agitated state of mind, and never force yourself to do it. Because if you're going, like, for an example, because then you kill the desire and the passion the step before it. Don't like come in because you're rigid and like, oh, I gotta get this done. Oh shit, let me just get this out of the way. Stop. You're wasting your time. Don't even do it. Do it, set it aside for another time. All right. So analyze the timing of the rituals that you're doing. Okay. Very important. If you want effective results. Now, again, you can do whatever you want. You can do it tired. You can do it angry. You can do it feeling crazy. That's up to you. Personally, I couldn't care. Do whatever you want. I'm trying to give you basic tips to be effective, successful, and get consistent results. All right.
Well, question to that.
Yes.
So what if someone is doing destructive magic?
Well, that's different now because then you need certain rage, anger, and emotion. That's totally different. Now, I don't know what time you tuned in. Did you hear earlier when I was talking about?
No, apparently.
Okay, so you must have came on later. All right, let me back up to something just so you could have a clear understanding and everybody else listening.
It's just a question.
Right. No, destructive magic is totally different. That requires anger, rage, and that type of passion and energy. Because you're trying to eliminate or destroy something. So that requires a certain state of mind. That gets into a whole nother mindset avenue and approach. So yeah, obviously that you don't want to come in laid back, calm, tranquil. No, you want to come in amped up, energized. You should really have a fiery rage and passion for that type of magic because it's destructive in nature. And not only that, I'm not just talking about towards another. Say you're trying to destroy something about yourself. Say you're trying to correct something, a bad habit or a behavior. You should come into it with that raw aggression, power. Let's say for an example, you're fucking up and you burn money. You have terrible spending habits, but it's affecting you so bad that it's cutting into your everyday responsibilities, right? Let's say it's a gambling problem. You should want to come into that destructive work and say you're doing a ritualistic working to curb your spending habits. That's something you might want to come in with an aggressive energy and an aggressive nature because that's a form of destructive magic. So I want to make that clear. Destructive magic isn't just towards another. It could be destroying things about yourself. But let me say this, when it is towards another, especially an enemy or somebody that's set out to do you harm, you better dig down for every dark aspect and power of your nature that exists in you to destroy and eliminate that shit. So I want to be clear on that. All right. Does that help or?
No, I just wanted it to be clear because I didn't hear you, of course, because I came in a little late. I just wanted to make sure that
that's what you need to do. Get your ass here earlier. Ain't nobody got time to be going back repeating shit and stuff.
Well, other people could have joined like me.
Yo, listen.
As you just stated so eloquently. And they just want people to understand that.
I'm going to have to get Jack on the phone. I don't know if Jack's out there. Jack. Let me stop. No, but yeah, it's a really good question. It is. Because
I just didn't want them to think that they just go into everything with all this tranquility. And
hell no.
Not
hell
that.
No way.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear.
Well, that goes with the planning and the timing, right?
Exactly.
There's a connection with that. Sure. That goes with understanding what type of work are you setting out to do. So that when you're planning it, of course, you should be able to identify it in the planning process. So know the work you're doing. That's very important. Now, are there other works that require that tranquility? Most definitely. But really, outside of destructive magic, it's not even about, it's about coming into it with a receptive mind is the best word I can use in general. Now, how the individual does that, everybody's not going to do it the same way. Some might take that more tranquil, laid back approach. Some may like to be a little more hyped up, and not to the point where they're hyped up out of control. But in the case if it's like destructive magic, then yeah, now we got to change the whole approach. All right. So planning and timing is everything. I think we went over the basics. You should, again, don't go into anything tired. I can tell you that's one of the most waste of time work you can do. Because look, am I saying anybody that went into a ritual tired didn't get results? That's not what I'm saying. Because I know if there's somebody out there now listening with, oh, I did a ritual when I was tired and I got great. Well, good. Great. I'm saying as a whole. So keep that in mind. This is not the tell all. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying it's not recommended. So if you are one of the few people that did a ritual completely butt-ass tired and you got great results, you're special. Power to you. Kudos to you. You're great. So let's make sure we're clear on that. All right. I think that handles timing. All right. Imagery, which I talked a little bit about this earlier, in my opinion, is very important. All right. Imagery enhances your work. This kind of connects to the first thing we talked about, your chamber room. That's when I was mentioning it earlier. Sigils, symbols, images of archetypes you work with, your working tools, to me, set a precedence. It creates a certain energy, the energy you stamp it with. To me, that's the importance of imagery. Now, anybody that's worked with me over the years or knows me, if you've come to rituals down here, you know I'm a big stickler on imagery. I try to use a lot of imagery in the rituals, and those that have worked with me know that. I love it. It's something I enjoy. But again, it's preference. Is it mandatory? No. If you just want to sit in a room with a basic setup and you don't want all that added in, that's up to you. That's entirely up to you. If that works for you, that works for you. Cool. I know most people use some level of imagery for the most part. Okay. So I would recommend you create that personal imagery based on your personal needs, your likes, and what you're connected to. Don't just do shit because somebody else is doing it or you saw this here and there. Make sure it connects with you. Because remember, those images and the imagery you use, it speaks consciousness to you. It conveys, it opens up in a sense, it connects you to a certain energy. So it should be in accordance, in line, especially if you're doing a particular ritual, the imagery should be connected to the work you're doing. All right, so that's important too. Let's make sure we don't negate that fact. But it definitely can be an enhancing tool if you decide to use it. All right. The balance factor. Now, I like to use the word harmony. I don't like to really use balance.
Yeah, balance is stasis.
Right.
Stagnation.
Well, this also deals with practicality. If you read the section when you get a chance, but I want to read two funny stories in it. This always made me laugh. All right. So I actually want to read this. So you should be practical in your magic, and you should be. This is also ties into what we were talking about earlier, being grounded. So I got to read this because no matter how many times I've read this shit makes me laugh. All right, so let me read this section here. All right. Knowing one's own limitations is a rather odd bit of introspection. It would seem for a person who should be able to perform the impossible, but under many conditions, it can make the difference between success and failure. If in an attempt to attain your goal through either greater or lesser magic, you find yourself failing consistently, think about these things. Have you been a victim of a misdirected, overblown ego? Okay? Which has caused you to want something or someone when the chances are virtually non-existent. Now, this is the practicality we're talking about. All right? Are you this shit makes me. Are you a talentless, tone-deaf individual who is attempting through magic to receive great acclaim for your unmusical voice? You see that? That's what I meant earlier when I was saying you might love music and you want to be an aspiring Grammy Award-winning singer, but if you ain't got a lick of talent, that's not a practical way to approach a ritual. All the ritual in the world isn't going to help you with that. Okay? it gets even funnier. I found this one of the most entertaining parts of this book. Are you a plain, glamorous witch with oversized feet, nose, and ego combined with an advanced case of acne, who is casting love spells to catch a handsome young movie star? Okay, not practical. Are you a gross, are you a gross, lumpy, lewd mouse, snaggletooth? God damn. Oh, shit, that shit is hilarious to me. I'm sorry. Snaggletooth loafer who is desirous of a luscious young stripper? If so, you better learn to use the balance factor or the harmony factor, or else expect to fail consistently. All right. To be able to adjust one wants to one's capability is a great talent. Let me say that shit again. To be able to adjust one's wants to one's capability is a great talent. That really, in essence, is another way of doing shadow work. Work on yourself, identifying your talents. By identifying your talents, what do you also do? You identify your weaknesses. And then you create the harmony between the both. And then it brings you to the realization of applying this harmony / balance factor, as they use here, in your magic. But you can't do that if you're not doing the self-work first. Like, people want to come on the path, just get into rituals, light candles, do money magic, and they don't get no results because they're all fucked up. They ain't done no personal work. The mind's fucked up. This ain't right. This ain't right. So they want to go and jump into all these heavy laden rituals, and then they ain't get no results because they ain't take care of themselves first. Remember, the first step on this path, which is different from any other path, it's about doing that shadow work, going into that darkness, as we talk about, the unknown beyond the intellect, whereas everything isn't intellectualized, where you must connect. That's what I was talking about on the video the other night, the ninth gate, right? Where you encounter Set and Heru, which is a representation of our higher and lower self. That's one of the many representations, right? That's how you start to really understand who and what you are, your strength, your weaknesses, your talents, and things of that nature. That's going to help you with this ingredient here. But you can't do that process if you haven't done that work prior, okay? So that's called being practical in your approach, being realistic, and creating that harmony or balance factor, as it says here, all right? I'm going to stop there. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and I'm going to go through the chat, and then I'll take some phone calls shortly. Not right now, but I'll take them in a minute. Raven, is there anything you wanted to add before we do that?
No, you covered everything.
All right. I'm going to step away for one quick second. So why don't you just make some shit up?
No, I'm not making shit up.
Why don't you sing, Roxanne?
No.
All right, I'll be back. 1 second.
We're going to be looking for questions in the chat. Make sure your questions are in caps so that we can see them, so that we can address those. If you guys know me, I'm not gonna be trying to strain my eyes to see the questions amongst all the chatter. Oh, no, my V. I thought my V was in the chat. Okay, y'all. Let's see here. Oh, there she is. Hey, mommy girl. I thought you had disappeared. I didn't see you. Yeah, make sure you have your questions.
All right, I have to get some vitamin C.
That's what we're going to be looking for.
All right.
All the questions in caps. I didn't see anything in caps, so I don't think there are any questions. So we can wrap this puppy up. Yeah, but I know you like to go through word one by one and look for them personally.
Yeah,
Um,
if I don't see
I
any,
don't do that.
I'll do it. No breeze to it. Hold on.
I see a lot of chit chatter amongst themselves.
Hold on. I'm reloading it. I lost my chat. I don't know what happened. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, because you guys should have a question on this. This is that stuff where I guess maybe y'all are beyond this. Um, Beyond the ingredients from the book of Belial, the Satanic Bible.
Hold on. My chat's reloading.
You guys have the planning all down. No, I'm not doing my Roxanne. Y'all got to pay me for that.
All right, hold on. It's coming back up.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear everything.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So let me go to the top. Yeah, I'm just going to be skipping personal conversation and all that. I don't know if I have all of it. I might have lost some of it. So,
Let me ask my V because I'm at 840 when I logged in. So let me go down from
what's the
840.
first comment you got? What does it say? See, mine, because I'm using a different view because I'm broadcasting it. I don't have times on mine. So, what's the very first comment?
Matthew.
No, I don't have that. See,
Okay.
my first comment starts with Phil.
Moses, Books a Million, the twins. The question. Here's one. It wasn't in cats, but because you made me go back, I just happened to notice it. By Word Reaver.
Okay, I got that one. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm starting. I'm right there.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, read it, and I'll answer it. Go ahead, since you're there.
That was brilliant. Word Weaver, can you look at the so-called dark energies as good for you? And that's a perception. If you perceive them to be good for you, hold on. It just timed out on me.
I got it here. I got the whole thing
If
here.
you perceive them to be good for you, I know it's yes, but newbie here. Word Reaver, don't be you've been talking about this stuff for a while, haven't you? No?
No. She isn't. They are new. They just came last week. So let me
Came
say
last
this.
week. How long has she been my question to her would be, well, how long has she been on this here
I don't even
or
know.
looking at this here? That's my question.
Well, first, let's say this real quick before they type that in. Well, obviously, if you're not familiar with them, it's still that, fear thing that you create. But that's you, and not just you, anybody in general is going to create that because that just comes from a lack of not knowing. Remember, when we work with these, and again, that's just a title. When we work with these dark energies, that's just don't get caught up in that title. Sometimes people hear that, especially newer people, and it might, bring a little fear into them. How you get
Yeah.
over that fear, quite simple, just to really keep it simple, is educating yourself on to what they represent, which will educate you on how to utilize them. But always know this, when you're working on this path, you're always in control. If you allow yourself to be manipulated or controlled, it's because, one, that lack of knowledge and understanding, and two, in your mind, you've convinced yourself that you're at the mercy of some external force that can harm you. Nothing can harm you unless you allow it. And how you allow it is you open up your mind to accept and believe that. They're only dark because they deal with serious transformation, change, and growth. They only become harmful if you feed into the negative indoctrination that's put out. For an example, if you read a book by somebody that's not on this path and say they're heavily influenced by religion or some other fluffy system, of course they're not going to have anything positive to say in that. So a lot of what you take in on it has a lot to do with it too. But they are good for you because the darker energies are the ones that's going to bring transformation, change, and growth. Okay. So again, I would just educate yourself to the best of your ability so you start to feel comfortable in your understanding. That's all. All right.
Yeah, and every energy, as far as I understand it, as far as dark energies, some from what I've experienced, and correct me, you will, has two sides of the coin, as they say. Something that may be perceived as lighter, and something that may be perceived as a darker energy. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So I would ask, what is she meaning about darker energies?
Well, I think you even answered it in your statement. It's
I'm
about,
asking her what it
no, no,
means,
no.
what she means about her darker energies. I'm just saying from what I see, everyone, most energies has two sides of the coin. So I'm
I
just
know
trying to
that.
see where she getting it from.
Right, right. But what I'm saying in general is perception is going to have everything to do with that
Hmm.
based on the individual's experience and what they've absorbed. Because there's going to be all of us that are in here now, probably prior to we came on this path, looked at some of these concepts and energies when we were indoctrinated as something that probably wasn't positive to us prior. Be honest with yourself, because we too were shaped and indoctrinated in some shape, form, or fashion. And then now, a lot of us that have been on this path, after experience and working with them, we now have a whole different, approach and perspective on it. So, yeah. All right, what's the next one?
One moment, please.
Too slow. I ain't got time. You wrote short.
I was talking with my B. Hold on. Okay. Let me see, because no one put them in caps, and I'm just an ugly person. I'm not nice as you. Let me see. But I'm gonna be nice tonight. Okay. Uh uh let's see. Chatter, 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 chatter. It don't work. He's pissed off. Okay.
There's one comment I want to read here. I don't know if you passed it, but this is,
Because I'm looking for questions. I'm not looking for comments. I'm looking for
well,
something
this,
that is
this
a
is,
question, but you can look for comments.
no, no, no.
That's
Whoa,
fine.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Somebody got up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
Well, let's
As
back up.
usual. I don't never get up on the right side. I get up on the
Let's
wrong.
back up though. Hold on. Because there's something here kind
Oh,
of,
I found the question. Here's another question.
hold on one
Oh,
second. This one here because you probably passed it already. I don't want to go back.
yeah, because I was looking for
Yeah, but
questions. Yeah, go ahead.
because I don't want to go backwards.
Didn't I say go ahead?
All right, so I think it's Bridget, saying the name right, Lazara, and that whole dialogue with what we were just answering, word weavers. She mentions in the beginning, it's like when she first started doing rituals, you can get that effect of feeling lightheadedness, nausea. That sometimes is the effect of a new energy. I just want to clarify that because some people will email me and that'll happen to them, and they sometimes will automatically think that's something bad or negative. It's not. You might experience. Not everybody does. So let me make that clear. Not that doesn't happen to everybody. Does it happen to people consistently? Yes. Usually that's just a sign. Again, you're working with a different energy, and it takes sometimes. Some people are a little more sensitive than others, and they tap in right away. And sometimes that's just the effect of working with something new, but that dissipates in time. All right. So just for anybody that saw that, just want to make sure we have an understanding of that. All right. All right. Now, what was the other question?
You done with
Yeah.
that one?
Mhm.
Okay, it was from Phil. Uh See, y'all, this is not good for my vertigo to be going through y'all little. I kind of lost it.
Okay.
Oh, it was at 9 because I saw a lot of it was at 9. Ooh, it's gonna give me vertigo. Beniti, have you heard of others getting sleepy while doing mirror magic? I'm
Yeah.
awake and focused and gotten results. I'm just curious about the sleepiness part. Maybe it's a trance.
Who asked that question?
That was Phil.
Okay. Yes, that's happened to me. And you're right. Sometimes it could be a trance. I notice it more. It's only happened to me when I've done it sometimes right before I feel like I'm going through the mirror. So I can only speak from it when I've experienced what I think at first is sleepiness. It's more of a transitional or a trance state. Now, could that be the same for everybody? I can't say that. Can I say that's exactly what's happening to you? No, but if you feel like it's a trance, as you said, it more than likely is. Because usually when you're caught in the moment, what I mean by caught in the moment, when you're locked into that ritual work, you just lose all. You don't have that. The best way I can describe it is you're not focused on any external thoughts. And when the mind becomes so cleared and focused, that can tend to happen. You go into that, what appears, again, I say appears as that sleepy trance-like state. It's just really, to me, it's the mind is just completely locked in what they're doing. And it's also experiencing a part of separation, because remember, if you're doing obsidian black mirror magic work and you're going through the mirror, remember, that's a form of out-of-body experience or separation, okay? That's important to understand that. So that is a form, if you want to, you can label it astral travel, but it is a form of out-of-body separation. So it could possibly be that. But there's something else up here. I don't know if you got to that. Phil also typed in something up here I want to address. This is important too.
Well, I told you I'm looking for questions. Go ahead and address what you want to address.
All right. It says if you have sex with a toxic person, that energy can get passed on to you. Well, he said it's a little more than just shaking off that funkiness. That's important to understand too, because we've talked about that on many different videos over the years, especially in relation to, let's say, sex magic. But just in general, remember, if you're with somebody that's adverse to what you're doing, you are connecting to that energy. And that could apply to just, people always ask, I'm on this path, but my significant other isn't. Is that going to have an energy effect on me? Most definitely. I'm not even going to sit here and bullshit you, because now it also depends on what level of difference you have. Now, if they're toxic to the point where they're just way out there, you understand, and you're dealing with somebody, there's levels of being toxic. So yes, you should be aware of that. Now, it's a little more than just, I know you're just using a brief term, shaking off the funkiness. But yeah, you should always be doing work to rejuvenate and replenish yourself when you're in contact with that energy. So be selective with that. That's why we say when we talk about, unfortunately, you hear fools out here talking about sex magic and they're not giving you, some of the key factors you should understand in that. You shouldn't be exchanging bodily fluids in ritualistic work with somebody that's not in like mind or like body, because that can definitely create a serious conflict. And people, how many times have I heard on the show people brought up, my husband or my wife is not on this path. Well, that's something you're going to have to, figure out how you're going to deal with, because at some point, I always tell people you should have somebody. I'm not saying you need to be with somebody that's exactly identically on the same level with you, but they, at minimum, they have to be understanding and tolerant of what you do. If they're not, I'm going to be honest with you, you're wasting your time, because there will be that fork in the road where you will be faced with a tough decision. Don't be faced with that tough decision 5, 6, 7 years into a relationship with 3 and 4 kids, if you understand my point. And you knew this prior to the 3, 4 kids, then whose fault is it at that point? That's your fault, nobody else. So my recommendation, I've always said that for years, you better at least be with somebody that's understanding and tolerant, and that's not going to prevent you from doing what you need to do, because that's not going to work. I can tell you that right now, wasting your time. That's another form.
Creating conflict. Mm-hmm.
Big time. Yep, big time. So be smart in that. And we've talked about that
Yeah, yeah, he know about that.
Yeah.
Got
Okay.
another question. I missed it. It was by Double R, and I'm assuming, I think Double R is a chick. I'm assuming she's talking about the point when you was speaking about the altar, what you should have on your black magic altar, and you mentioned the pentagram. So she's asking where should it be placed.
Okay. Right.
I'll let you answer.
Well, there's two things with that, and now again, let me make this clear too. Again, this is not the tell all. I'm just giving you standard tips that you will find in quote unquote magical circles. But you can be creative with this as you want. Again, from my recommendation and how I've been utilizing it, you should have what they call an altar tile, which that should be in the center of your altar, on the altar. But you could also have a backdrop too. Some people like to use a pentagram as a backdrop in addition to that. So what I was speaking of as far as the pentagram earlier simply was what they call an altar tile, which is something you just lay flat on the center of your altar. That's all. Because of what the pentagram represents when you're working magic. Obviously that representation changes when you go through different systems. But long story short, I was referring to the altar tile that you lay in the center of the altar. Okay. What else we got?
What else we got? There was one by Nikita Tillis,
Okay.
and she wanted to know, is it bad to take pictures of your altar? I wouldn't take pictures of a working altar. Well, let me put this. I wouldn't take pictures of a working altar and share it. Like if I had work going on it, I wouldn't share it. I may take a picture of it to for me to remember something that I'm doing on that altar, but it's for me. But that's my answer to it. Okay, Benny.
Right. I wouldn't take, I mean, it's okay to shoot a picture of your altar, but I wouldn't take pictures in the act of doing any rituals or nothing like that. Unfortunately, you do see that. You know the thing that kills me?
I can't stand it.
I can't stand. I love motherfuckers that take pictures on Facebook, like sitting in a meditation position with their eyes deeply closed. Who the fuck's shooting them pictures? So what did you have to do? You gave somebody the phone and said, hold on, let me get in this position where I look spiritual and deep in the lotus position in my ritual attire with my eyes closed, looking on who does that? I mean, to me, that is like the most egotistical, comical bullshit. I see motherfuckers sitting on rocks at the beach, meditating on Facebook. That shit kills me. I know that's not quite the same thing what you were asking, but no, I wouldn't take no pictures of your altar in the act of doing rituals, but like Raven said, like afterwards, or to snap a picture. Like what we'll do here, as you see when we do rituals here at the end, we take just some shots of the imagery afterwards just to give a brief explanation. But that's more for a group ritual. I wouldn't take pictures of any personal work you're doing because it's just that, it's personal. And you don't know what prying eyes are looking, and you don't know what you might be giving away and you're unaware of. So especially for personal stuff, I definitely wouldn't. If it's not functioning and working and it's just you're taking a shot of, certain images on it, that's okay. But would I be publicizing it and promoting it? No, probably wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah, Marv, just cancel these people out. Just cancel. Don't time them out. Just fuck them. Just done them off. Okay. Just done them off. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Next?
Huh?
What you got next?
Camilla. Can I do a ritual for someone, loved one, to help her without her permission? I think you covered it in the beginning, but you can go ahead and answer that question. I'm going to say yes. You can always do something without someone's permission, but
Well, as far as what though? What are we talking about?
She said, can I do a ritual for someone, a loved one, to help her without her permission? And that is when you talk about doing work on people you're doing in the wee hours when they are when they're most susceptible to whatever you're doing. But go ahead.
Yeah, you definitely can, but it's always recommended. In this particular case, I'm talking about if you can talk with the person prior and they're on board with what you're doing, that actually helps the ritual.
Always remember this, it's your intent. If your intent in a situation like that, the reason why I say absolutely yes, remember your intent is to do something positive for that person, okay? So really, you shouldn't really have to question, you know, in my opinion, something like that. But it doesn't now, if it's work where it helps, where the individual might have to participate in the working, then yeah, you should definitely try to get them on board. But if like there's work, if you're doing healing work and that person is states away or a distance away, most definitely. If you know, I'll be honest with you, in some cases, it ain't really necessary to even say nothing to them. That's just my opinion and in my experience with things I've done in the past. I'm only saying that because your intent is to do nothing but obviously assist and help that person. Let's say they're going through a serious illness or something like that. I don't really think if you didn't have the opportunity to get their approval on it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right.
But isn't it would be more beneficial if you would? Because I'm just thinking about, you know, my past experience with it as well.
Well, that's what I just said. I just said that a minute ago. I said, yeah.
Because I was reading. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it would help and enhance if they were on board and they knew, yeah. But at the same token, it's not 100% necessary. But yeah, if you can get them on board, most definitely. Because I was also saying you might have a working design where you might need for them to physically participate in the ritual with you. So yes, I mean, if you can get them on board, that's always good. But I wouldn't let that stop you. Maybe the reason why I'm saying that, maybe it's somebody, let's say that they're religious and they don't understand the path that you're on. It might not be beneficial for you to say anything to them because they might actually destroy the work by thinking, oh, you're into some of this and that. And because in their mind, what you're doing, they might classify it as evil to what they think is right. So again, that goes into understanding the situation too. So yeah.
All right. We have Blair Jones. What is a good book to learn about mirror magic?
Man, I can't think
Thanks
of
for
it.
all the caps. Thanks for all the caps. I was easy to spot that. Thank you.
I don't have my, I have a couple saved on Scribe. I don't really have personally per se a book on mirror magic that I actually go to, but I can tell you some books that do get into it in certain sections. Second Pep by Michael W. Ford. I would definitely look into that. The other book, look into the Black Ship too. He talks a little bit about it in there. There's another book. Hold on. Vampire Magic by Father Sebastian.
Yeah, I just about to say that. Yeah.
That's another one that has some good mirror rituals. Those are the some that come off the top of my head first glance. I have some I saved on my Scribe app, but they came off to me not really as left-hand path. They weren't that type of ritual. It was more like a scrying, fluffy thing, and I wasn't really feeling it. But you will find that a lot of the Vampire Magic books will have it also. Vampire Somnambulicum. Michelle Bellinger's book, the Vampire Ritual book, she's got a couple in there. That's just some of the things I can tell you off the top of the head. But I do it with demonic integration work. Because a ritual that I created with it was a ritual I designed, you know, connecting with my personal demon, and it takes me through a porthole into this swampy abyss. Long story. So I use it more in regards to that. It just opens me up to some of that type of work. But that's another story. But I can't really think of a specific book offhand because I probably don't even have one book that's probably titled Mirror Magic. It's just scattered in different books. So what else we got?
Let's see. I guess Baby Jesus came in here because I guess that's who that guy was, Baby Jesus.
Oh yeah, they all
Okay.
they all come. Did you just X them out? Did you guys get rid of them?
Oh no, I didn't delete you. Undulate in darkness. I deleted Mark Gamez, whoever that person was.
Oh, he was a Jesus freak.
I guess so. I saw that Mavi had hit him with it, and I killed him with it.
Well, let me while you looking real quick, but let me just say this on that.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Undulate in darkness. Can you retype? Because if it was done in error. Okay. I know. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why once in a while we get that, especially when we have a topic with the word Luciferian, Lucifer, or Satan, some Jesus freaks that are probably surfing the net, find their way in here. I don't even know why they waste their time, man. Go find a sanctified, born again, saved room where you can feel wanted. You're wasting your time here. Nobody gives a fuck. But anyway,
No, I don't give a fuck about that shit
yeah.
either.
Anyway,
That's why I done him off. Canceled. He was canceled.
oh, that's it. That's the best thing to do. Don't waste your time with that shit.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. We got the pictures. Oh, that word Reaver was saying that she's been on this path for like a month or so.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Because I remember she was in here on Tuesday, and she was saying something similar. And again, to her or anybody else that's in the same situation, look, I'm gonna just be patient. It takes a lot of time and discipline. It's not gonna happen overnight. And don't be to you or anybody else. Don't be embarrassed. At least you're being honest with yourself. And it's normal to at first approach it like that. Obviously, it is that fear of the unknown. But make sure you're working through your knowledge and your study to clear that up. So there's many people in your situation. There's nothing. Look, we're all down to earth people here. There's nothing to be like, that doesn't make you any lesser than us. We don't approach it like that. The fact that you're here shows, at least for the moment, you have an intent to actually want to learn. So as long as you got that intent to learn, a lot of that stuff's going to disappear over time. But I'm going to be honest with you, got to be patient. There's a lot to learn on
It's
this
a
path.
lot to learn, but you have to educate. Like you say it all the time, and I know she's new to your channel.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do when you do research. When you do your research, it educates you. Being educated should take away the fear of the dark energies, right? It should take that fear because you have now educated. You know how you should or should not work with that particular energies. So I think that has always worked for me. I just educate myself and just go at it. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. And if you're moving in fear, you're already defeated.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just be patient. It'll happen as long again, you gotta be consistent in your work. It'll happen. Just be patient. What else we got?
Well, undulating darkness. I'm waiting. Okay, so double R. I think you answered this here earlier, but I'm going to state it again. Let me do this one. Matthew, any good books for sex magic?
Yeah. Again, in Father Sebastian's Vampire Magic, there's an excellent ritual in there. The Necrominion book, The Kiss of Asset, and there's a couple other rituals in there. I'd look into that. Damn, the other book, drawing a blank on. Shit. I was just going through it a few days ago. God damn. That's the name of it. Just going through the I have it on my damn scribe. I can't think of the name of the author. I could pull it up on my scribe. But Matthew, we could do is send me an email. I could probably send you a list of about 7 or 8 of them. Most of the stuff that I utilize when it comes to that would be the vampiric magical system, because I find a lot of the other ones are more geared towards tantra and that fluffy shit. And it's not the same thing, because some people confuse. There is different aspects of psychic magic, but when you're talking about left-hand path, I would also, that's it, the Ascetian Bible. How can I not remember that? I would also go in there. Those are probably 3 to 4 main books. Sekima Pep has a few things in there, but that's more self. But Vampire Magic by Father Sebastian, to me, has a couple of really good ones in there, along with the Saguanamocan by Father Sebastian. But that's probably the methodology that I would use. There's also it's vampiric Luciferian witchcraft and sorcery, the Infernal Union. Michael W. Ford has put out a copy of that. Now, I don't know if that per se is in a book, but you could probably pull that off a scribe. It's a document. That's a good ritual to do with a significant other when you're combining the male and the female energies. That's a great ritual to do when you really study it, understand it, and do it with a partner. So I would look into understanding both aspects because they serve different purposes, whether it's solo or with somebody else. But those are probably the books that come to mind. But again, majority, not all, most of the time, if I utilize any of it, it's dealing with the vampiric aspect. Okay.
All right. And undulating darkness. Also, how would you recommend people go about verifying their experiences and spirits?
What do you mean that right there? Verify?
Well, you have to ask them that. Yeah, ask me that.
No. I'm saying I want to make sure
That's the question. Okay, undulating darkness. Now, I need a clarifying question. Can you clarify that statement out? Thank you. We'll come back to you. Okay. Hey, Boffa girl, feel better girl. I know I'm in the dumps too, girl, because my kitty passed away. Okay.
Read that. Oh, hold on, back up. Read that question again.
How would you recommend people go about verifying their experiences and spirits?
Again, when I was talking earlier, just so there's clarification.
Oh, she says that's the second part. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Undulating. I don't know who you are. Hold on. I don't see the first part. They saying that that's the second part. I don't see the first part.
Yeah, because it just something's missing there. That's why I was saying, because that's a very broad question. I mean, what are you saying in relation to that? You know, some people think they work or deal with trickster spirits. I don't know what you're saying that in relation to. You know, in short, I could say if you're getting results, I don't give a shit what it is you're working with. That's really how you can confirm that what you're working with is real. But if you're having all these experiences and therefore not, and you're not getting any growth, change, or results out of it, then I would question what it is you're experiencing, because the mind, it's like Rick James said on that David Chappelle shit, said cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I think I see it. Wait a sec. I think I see it. It was in lower caps. That's why I'm missing it. I keep telling y'all people, my eyes not made for this scrolling shit. I'm not trying to get vertigo. Okay. I guess this is the first part. Yes, if you this had 10:05 undulating. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I think this is the first part. And I guess it's in relation to something you may have been saying. If you are grounding and have a strong sense of self, a harmony in your aspects, then you can handle those dark waves. And I guess the second part of that is, and also, what was that? How would you recommend people go about verifying their experiences and spirits?
Yeah. But like to the first part of her kind of statement question, if you are grounded and have that strong sense, obviously you would be clear on your experiences. They would be clear. They would communicate to you exactly what it is you're working with, and you would be, completely, confident. And are you humming? Can you stop doing that? That's quite fucking annoying. Was that you humming?
No, I'm not humming.
I hear somebody humming.
Because my humming is not annoying. Go ahead and finish talking. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're confident on what you're working for and you have that sense, then yeah, you would know. But to the second part of your question, like I said earlier, your results. That's how you verify that what you're working with is real. Again, if you're doing shit and you're not getting any results and you just keep doing the same old shit, That's probably a telltale sign you might want to make a change. Okay.
Okay. All right, William. You came in late. The book was The Satanic Bible by Anton Zandor-LaVey. All right. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Since oh, it was that double R chick. Where did she go? Good work. Would you suggest one who is angry with a situation do magic while in their anger to change the situation?
Wait, hold on, I was distracted. What was that?
Oh, this is double R, and I believe maybe she missed it earlier. I believe you answered this here. Would you suggest one who is angry with the situation do magic while in their anger to change the situation?
Yeah, we did talk about that earlier. It depends. If you were doing destructive magic, yeah, you'd want to use that anger.
But wait a minute, she clarifies, but not to destroy anyone.
Well, not just for, remember earlier, we weren't just talking about destructive magic is not just about doing it to destroy somebody. Maybe you're destroying a bad habit about yourself. So it would be good to have that anger and that passion. Now, if you're doing like healing work or something like that, no, you wouldn't want to be in that state of mind. But remember, if you didn't hear earlier, just so we're clear, destructive magic isn't just about doing destruction against another individual. You could be destroying certain ways about yourself, certain habits or behavior, etc. That would be good to have that aggression and that anger, because that's just going to fuel your passion. So again, that goes back to when we were talking about the different ingredients earlier. That talks about timing and planning, desire, all those things. So it just depends on the type of ritual or the work you're doing. That's all. All right. Anything else here?
Okay, wait a second. Wait a second.
I think I jumped.
You jump.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, this thing is adulterating darkness. Just so you know, the thing is jumping, acting crazy, because my chat has gone down a couple of times and rebooted. That's why I'm getting distracted. So,
Okay, Straight Panther want to know, are there any other notable versions of the Satanic Bible worth reading?
yes.
I know you talked about one. Go ahead.
Yeah, in the beginning, I don't know if you were on earlier, Straight Panther, at the very beginning, I mentioned Dr. Michael Aquino's revised that he just came out with several months ago. If you know the history of Dr. Aquino, he used to be a high priest in the Church of Satan. He left a few years back. He did a whole revision of it and kind of tax it more using the concept as Set as the adversary, the real prince of darkness. I actually like it better because it removes, like I was saying in the beginning of the video, it removes all that religious nonsense. And again, if you came on late, I made it clear. I don't agree with everything in the Satanic Bible. Let me make that clear. I also said in the beginning, a lot of the books that I use, just because I might make reference to a book, I don't care if it's Michael W. Ford, Richard Page, it don't matter who it is. I focus on the things that I feel could be beneficial for the path. You might find things in there that I don't agree with that you might work for you. I don't quote those books because I'm saying that I'm 100% in accordance with everything that's in there, because I'm not. So I want to make that crystal clear. And I was saying that because I know some people who might be familiar with the Satanic Bible. I know there's a varying different perspectives and opinions on it. The only thing I really gravitate, or the main thing that I gravitate, is what we kind of went over tonight. I think the Book of Belial, and I've mentioned that many times before in many other different videos, I think you can use that as a blueprint or a criteria. I don't care what aspect of the path that you're working. All right. So yeah, it's a good blueprint, the Book of Belial. But yeah, I would also look into Dr. Aquino's version of it. That's really the main two, because there's other books out there called, don't get it confused, the original Satanic Bible, or what was classified as the original Satanic Bible, was written by Anton LaVey. But you can Google, you can go on all these, a bunch of different books come up, we'll call the Satanic Bible. But if you're looking for, the Satanic Bible that was affiliated with the Church of Satan, that's the one you want to, take a look at, just so you know. I see also Duma, the show with Richard Page. Let me reiterate that quick before I forget, before we get off of here. Saturday afternoon at 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. Okay, just want to make sure everybody's got that time clear. I put there's a announcement on the Facebook and the Instagram. It's in the community section here on the YouTube. I forgot about the show, and Richard, I talked with him today. And I did pump it out earlier, May 18th, but I just got lost in time with everything that's going on. So this Saturday, 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, we'll be on here live interviewing Richard K. Page, a Luciferian author. We'll be talking about his book, Discovering the Divine. That's going to be on Saturday, 4:00. All right. I will do my best to keep putting notifications out tomorrow and part of the day on Saturday, just so nobody can forget. But I posted it up as soon as I remembered this afternoon. And then also at the same time, Bal Cadman will be on next Thursday. And I put that, spoke with him today too. He'll be on here next Thursday night at 8:00. Also, there is information with that on the Instagram, the Facebook, and on the community section of the YouTube page here. All right. So that information is there. It is available. Tomorrow, I will be speaking with Dr. Bynum and try to get him back here. More than likely in early June. I don't think this month. I don't want to load everybody up in 1 month. I think it's too much. All right. So that information is on the pages. So that's Saturday at 4:00 Eastern Time right here. Okay. For Richard Page. And again, come with some questions. Have some stuff ready for him. If you guys read the book.
I ain't gonna come with no questions.
Yeah, well, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay.
Ta-da! He found it. Undulating darkness. I'm sorry. I don't know you, so I'm flip-flopping in gender. Hey, I have the question.
What is it?
You done?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut y'all. The question was, do you think people are confusing? Oh, it only had got you one little special word. It didn't have that word. It was just one little special word that came through. And I'm going to say it wrong. Hypnagogic hallucinations for actual spiritual experiences. I noticed many do not verify their experiences and stay in mystical la-la land.
Mm-hmm. I was talking about that earlier. Yes, that happens to a lot of people that are not grounded. That happens unfortunately, quite a lot. But the thing is this: it's about understanding how you stay grounded in that reality, is creating that harmony between the objective and the subjective. All right. So when we say they don't verify their experience, first and foremost, they have to verify and do that check themselves. Because first of all, the only person you need to really verify it to, one, via the results, is to yourself. The problem where the disconnect comes from and not being grounded in harmony, they try to enforce their personal experiences on others who have not had similar or like experiences. And so what I was saying, in addition to that, you should never accept anybody's personal experiences as your own if you don't have any experience in that particular area of work. That's how religions were started. So first, the step process is you need to verify. The person has to verify themselves. And again, that's by the results. If you're getting results, then you're working with valid shit. If you're not sure and you're confused or you can't confirm, then that's going to just take you more work, more digging, doing more rituals to figure out what it is you're working with. but never ever force your experiences on another, because it doesn't work like that unless you're having dialogue with people that have like or similar experiences. That's where you can connect. But where the person, again, I've seen this many times over the years, they get so disconnected from reality. That's all they talk about is, I had this dream, I had this experience, I spoke to this spirit. Everything becomes that. They've lost sight of everyday reality. They don't take care of their everyday responsibilities. All they want to do is, everything is so spiritual. They're on another fucking planet mentally. That's not a good thing, because that shows there's a disconnect, and then you have to question what it is you're working with. But what also happens, and I would recommend Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum's book. What also happens there is, sometimes I don't know if you were on earlier, but I was talking earlier about sometimes when people do work on this path, they work with a particular energy. It could be very intense type of working or energy, and it unlocks a certain part of their psyche, or it overloads them with a certain amount of information that they're just not prepared to receive. And then they don't know how to put it into perspective. It could be an experience with one of these energies, entities, deities, or however the individual is approaching it. But sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't turn out for the better. Now, let me say this. In their mind, something definitely happened. So when we say people are crazy, I don't think people understand. They're crazy to us because we can't connect with it. So when I'm saying somebody's crazy, I don't mean the traditional sense, how we might look at the person out on the street talking to themselves or home. That's not what crazy is. We tend to label somebody crazy who might be dealing with walking spirits. Like, sometimes you open a porthole and you're just not ready for it, unfortunately. That does happen. So when we talk about the dangers of being on this path, validation and all, it starts with you first, number one. You, the individual, you the magician, whatever you want to call yourself. Can you validate the results? But how you can avoid a lot of that shit is some of the ingredients we went over tonight, right? Because the timing, the planning, the practicality of your magic, that can keep you away from falling into instances like that. Like, for an example, if you're brand new spanking on the path, right? You could apply this to the practicality. I wouldn't go ahead and do some work with Lilith or the Clepothic tree right out the gate, or doing work with Leviathan and Tiamat, especially Tiamat. That's a very destructive energy. So that's called being practical in your approach. So part of that is understanding who you are, where you at on this path. So, I mean, that prevents a lot of that shit from happening, having to, validate what it is, your experiences, because you're going to have experiences, but are they going to be productive? Who knows? You're not going to know that until shit, fortunately, goes down. So
Yeah, they was talking about, this girl, this one girl was talking about her sleep paralysis demon molest her as if it's a comical thing and normal.
okay, well, she's probably dealing with some type of succubi or succubus having sex with her, and maybe that's how she approaches it. I mean, yeah, it is. That is kind of funny. I do agree. But maybe she gets some type of enjoyment out of it. But you got to be careful with succubi or succubus, because they take energy from you. So my question to her would simply be, is she have a full understanding of the interreaction, other than the fact it molests her? Is she gaining something from that sexual interreaction? Is it just taking from her? And I would also ask her, what is so funny about it, what she thinks is funny about it, because there could be a lot of psychological stuff going on that she's not conscious of. There's different types of succubi or succubus, right? There are some that do exchange sexual energy with you that can be invigorating and empowering, but there's some that come to take the life out of you, and they're not pleasant sometimes in that experience. So I don't know her, and I'm just going based on what you're typing in that description. I would be curious to see why she thinks that being molested is a comical thing and normal. Sounds like to me somebody that's suppressing some type of trauma or insecurity, personally. That's just my thoughts on it, but I don't know if that's the case. Okay. Maybe And I just saw that second part, typed in, maybe she was molested. I don't know if she's got a history of molestation. That could be why she approaches it. And blocking out the trauma is thinking it's funny. If that's the case, that is one way they'll deal with it. That would be a very normal behavior for somebody that has a history of being molested or was molested when they were younger or in the past. Not all, but maybe in a case like this, that's why she responds. It's her way of blocking out the trauma. I don't really see what's funny about it. You know, I'm not being judgmental. I don't really think that's funny. I'd be wanting to understand that. But what disturbs me in that statement, molest means against your will. So this is not happening. This is not experience. It's not willfully. She's saying it's even though it's a spiritual experience, it's unwillfully. So somebody's still taking advantage of you. So that disturbs me. And being humorous about that, to me, I'd be a little concerned about that. All right.
Yep. And Blair Jones wants to know, should a necromancy altar be separate from dark arts altar?
Not really. You can connect them because, for an example, on my black magic altar, I have Ample on there, and he is one of those gatekeepers dealing with the spirits of the dead or necromancy. Now, if it's the Holy Death, always recommended to keep that separate, not for any religious reasons, because it's a very volatile, intense energy that unlocks portions of your psyche, and that energy doesn't really like to be shared with anything. But no, if you have a dark magic altar, I have a couple different aspects on there. Ampu, I actually have an aspect of representation of Baron Samedi and Mama Brigette side by side, because that is a form of black magic. Remember, you can group anything on your altars that have similar energy. Now, you can do whatever you want. Not that it's mandatory, but I found it's more effective. If you're really connected to the energy, you will feel, those differences. I know some people will say, oh, they just do whatever, this and that they probably do, but they may not be realizing unconsciously what's going on. But again, it's not the tell-all. You can do whatever you want, but that's fine to do that. I don't see that, in my opinion, being a problem on any level. What else we got?
We're definitely missing messages. I haven't done anything, and messages are literally coming in like the second part, not the first part. And I'm still sitting here. I haven't changed my page. I haven't done anything.
No, this thing
questions are not coming in.
No, it's cutting up on me too. I told you it's gone down. The reason why I'm distracted, I keep saying I'm distracted. I've lost it a few times where it went down and I had to wait for it to come back up. So it's something with YouTube. It's definitely something with YouTube. It could just be technical problems. It's not my internet. My internet's fine. Internet's been up. I got that problem fixed a while ago now, so I haven't had no problem with that. It's just something. It's something with the chat though. So if we're having difficulties getting your questions, it's because of that. All right. Time is it? Yeah, I don't think we're going to go to the phones tonight. We just got stuck on this. I'm going to skip the phone thing tonight.
Okay, here it is. He was, what was your take on William Walker Atkinson?
William Walker Atkinson. I'm drawing a blank. Not familiar. Refresh my memory. I don't want to pretend like I...
I'll wait for the refresh.
It's in my head, but I don't know why I'm drawing a blank.
Let me see if this matches up. Such
it.
as willpower and desire force.
In relation to that saying?
Yeah, I wonder if that has something to do. Did lessons on.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, you can see it. Okay. Yes, that was part of it.
To be honest with you, I know he's an occultist. That's why I knew the name rang a bell. I'm not completely familiar with his work. I don't really read a lot of his stuff. So I know very little about him because I don't really study and read a lot about him. So I don't really want to give too much thoughts on that. So I don't really know much about him, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to remember the book that I read from him. Secret of Success. But that was a while ago. I know he's an occultist. He's not really so much left-hand path. But in some of his philosophy and approach, again, there's things you can apply that are just, central and neutral to any path. Especially when you're dealing with stuff with success, mind power, discipline, psychological aspects. That's stuff that you can utilize, period, in life. So the little I do know about him, I'm sure there's something in his work that you can gain that's beneficial. But remember, as I said in the very beginning of the show, when you're reading books, studying, doing research, part of your job as creating your path to self-mastery, you take and extract from whatever information you can that you can utilize and work with. I don't care what it is. And then whatever in that same book or work that you don't resonate or vibrate with, you just toss it to the side. Just don't use it. That's all.
Yeah, Duma was talking about he published the breath book. I
No,
guess the
that
book was
was,
Mental Magic. Yeah.
No, the breath book was by Yagi Ram Chakana. I never say his name. That wasn't by William Atkinson.
Oh, okay.
If we're
Yeah, I
talking
guess
about
the book. Oh, okay.
unless we're talking about the same breath, a different breath book, but the original breath control. Matter of fact, that's the one that Dr. York plagiarized, the Ragi Yam Chakana, word for word. And he wrote that book in the late 1800s. If you go get the Nuwapians, they're fucking nuts anyway. If you go get the breath book that Dr. York put out and get Yogi Ram Chakana, I can never say the fucking dude's name. He barely changed any words in his plagiarism of that book. So if we're talking about that breath book, that wasn't by William Atkinson, unless Duma, you're talking about another one that I'm getting confused.
Oh, he was saying his company published it. His
company, yes. Okay, I got you. Okay. Yeah. I would recommend everybody. I actually, in some of the breathing exercises we do before ritualistic work, I actually use some stuff out of that book. And I would recommend anybody for breath control. And breathing is key. That helps you on this path with your spiritual discipline. And I've talked about this in the past on different videos. A lot of people are mouth breathers and they don't know it. And how you can know it is have somebody observe you when you sleep. And see if you're a constant mouth breather. That's not a good thing.
That's gross. That's gross.
Yeah. Because your circulation usually is jacked up. Blood is not pumping through the heart and the lungs like it needs to. So anytime we do a ritual, we have a decompression period where we do breath exercises. You should master breath control even before you get into serious practice of meditation. Breath control should be mastered. So that's an important thing. And that's a great book. I would definitely recommend that book for those that don't have it, The Breath. And again, Duma, if you have the correct spelling of the author's name, the yogi that wrote that, put it in there so people can look it up. I'm sure you probably have it. Good book, though. That would be a great book to get your breathing discipline under control. There's a lot of good exercise in there. There's one, let me tell you something. There's one in there that's off the chain. If you stand up, right, you put your arms out like this. You make a fist, right? You don't cleanse them too tight. And then after you make a fist, you breathe in, you take a deep breath in through your nose, you retain it for as long as you can. And then when you can't hold it no more, you exhale. And as you're exhaling, you swing your arms fast back and forth. You will feel all of this stuff get rejuvenized. Your whole solar plexus. There's a couple in there like that. There's quite a few in there. That one right there is something I've been doing for years. And when you talk about rejuvenating and energizing your entire body as far as getting your circulation going, powerful.
No.
So definitely look into that book. All right, what else we got?
Bridget wanted to a good Egyptian primer.
Okay.
Whatever
As far as for working Egyptian Heka, black magic, I would assume. Is that what we're asking? I would
assume so.
If
you put primer plus.
Yeah, Necrominion. by Michael W. Ford. He's just the author of the book. He actually copied the works of Charles Pace. If you're looking for a book that deals specifically with all different aspects of Heka, Egyptian black magic, that to me is the best book out there, in my opinion. Also, Second Mapep deals with different aspects of Egyptian black magic. If you're looking for a hardcore book on Egyptian vampirism, the Ascetian Bible, that is a great book. And me, in my opinion of it, it's so much more than just vampirism. It gets into a lot of good spiritual techniques, all rooted in ancient Egypt. It gets into the darker aspects of Aset and her really magical sorceress aspect. It gets into Set. But those are the 3 books that come to mind. But definitely Necrominion by Michael W. Ford is a really good book.
And that be it.
All right, that be it. All right, so we're gonna just focus on the chat for the evening and call it a night. Again, real quick on the announcements before we wrap it up. Reminder, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll pump it tomorrow and the next day. We'll keep putting it out there so nobody forgets. We're gonna have Richard K. Page here talking about his book, Encountering the Divine. That'll be Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make the adjustment if you're in a different time zone. I know it can get a little confusing because we never come on at that time. We never come on at that day. So just again, if you're in Central Time Zone, remember you would be tuned in at 3 o'clock. If you are in Pacific Time Zone, that would be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're out of the country, figure it out. I'm not going to go through all the countries, but within the United States, it'd be 4 Eastern Time, 3 Central Time, 1 Pacific Time. All right. That would be Saturday. Next Thursday night, we're going to have Val Cadman here. And then I think next week I was telling them about the show you came up with, doing an interview with myself. We'll maybe do that Tuesday.
Yeah, interview you.
Interview me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's what we got going on. And again, throw out there again the event in October.
Laney.
Yeah. Huh?
I'm sorry. I was fussing that cat.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Again, you went back up on the Instagram, the 3-day event we're having in October, the 25th to the 27th. The Journey of the Black Adept 2. As we said, there's going to be a yearly event we do every year in the last month in October. That'll be here in the North Fort Lauderdale area. If you want information on that, you can email me. See it right there in the description box. The online classes, again, they will begin July 20th, running to August 30th. All that information is available. I sent it to all those that have requested it. If you would like the information, same thing, email. The event at the end of the month, which was actually getting closer, a couple weeks away, 2 weekends away, that'll be on May 31st, Friday, 8 o'clock, right here in Fort Lauderdale. If you would like to attend that, you must email and request an invite for all the aforementioned things.
I'm just saying we do work.
And the reason why
we do work to make change.
Right. And the invite is to make sure, again, we want to know, why do you want to come
away? Because I have straight attitude.
Yeah. Well, we also want to know what's your experience with doing this work. You know, it may not be a good thing for you to come if you don't really know about it. So for that reason, we want to keep the energy, right. And then the last thing.
You can say for that reason. I mean.
Yeah.
One last thing. One before you go. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. That's what I do. Blair had a question, and Blair wanted to know if they're unavailable for the show on Saturday. Can they email some questions?
No, that'd be good. Yeah, definitely. Title the email questions for Richard K. Page so I can identify it. So yeah, if you can't attend Saturday afternoon and you got some questions, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, that's a great one. Go Blair.
So, yeah, there you go, Blair. If you got some questions or anybody else that can't tune in, by all means, send an email. That'd be great. It'll give me more dialogue to use for the show. But again, please title the email questions for Saturday, Richard Page, something, because when I tell you I get a shitload of emails, I'll be honest with you, some of them I just got to do. But I'll be able to look for that headline and I won't miss it. So please do that. That would be a great thing. All right.
And put it in caps so it's seeable.
Yeah.
If he gets that many emails.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if that'll help, but yeah, put it there. Just the main thing is I can see.
Well, because it'll catch your eye.
Yeah. And then the last thing, if you're interested in a consultation or a reading, 2 days out, again, just please specify days and times you're available and your time zone. If you're Eastern, Pacific, or if you're out of the country, so I can correlate that to my time zone. That's the name of the book there. Thanks, Duma. The Breath book by Yogi Ramachakra. I would look at that in the chat that Duma just typed in, people. If you're looking for a very good book to help you with that, there's exercises in there to stimulate your circulation, your breath, get your heart going. There's stuff you can do outside. There's stuff for in the morning, right when you wake up. There's stuff to do right before meditation. And it's a really good book. So if people do not have that book, that is a highly recommended book. Yogi Ramachakra. I just got to remember Rama and the word chakra, and I won't forget it now. All right. Other than that, I think we're good. We're going to wrap this
And
up.
you said about the class, if they're interested in the class, to email you for details.
Yeah, I said that, and I just said it now, and I said it earlier. Yes, the information for all the online classes is available. Start time, cost, curriculum, the whole nine. And like I said, those that were on the list and requested it, to my knowledge, I've gotten back to everybody. But as I said in the beginning of the show, shit can go to the junk box. I could skip it. It has happened before. So if you have emailed me and you did not hear back from me, that's probably because I didn't get the email or it went to my spam box and I didn't see it or whatever. So feel free to email me if you would like the information for the online classes, which will start July 20th. All right. So we're still a little bit out from that, but before you know it, we'll be right there.
And he covers more stuff in the class than he does online.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm not just going to say
it gets
that.
more detail, and you can ask your questions. I mean, trust me, you can ask your question. I believe I was talking. You can ask your questions, and I can say for me, you can be quiet. You can be quiet. Shush. Is that you for me? I've gotten more clarity, more from the classes, because you can actually, other people are asking questions that you may not think to ask. But just get more clarity. Things get a little bit more specific in detail. Things that you just can't discuss in the open forum are discussed, and it's things for your personal growth. Those answers that you're not going to be able to find anywhere because you're not in some particular system of school or some kind of left-hand path group. Okay. So just to say that, that's not biased. That's just facts.
No, I'm glad you said that. And like you said, there's we do group work together. Actually, we do, even though we're on.
I didn't say
in
that,
a group
but
video. Yeah, we do ritualistic work, what we can, and then there's work you got to do throughout the week. I want to be clear. It's work too, though. We do group workings that you'll do in between. And I must say, from the last class, and I know some of you might be in here now, I was really, honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I know Brother Damien, Brother Stepawai, Sister Akua, some of the work that you guys came back with and created, it actually blew me away. Seriously, I was impressed because you guys really came up with your own shit, especially, I know he's not in here now, but he's in here sometimes. Brother Damien really came up with some creative shit. And he even gave me some ideas. I even learned from you guys. Because the objective of the class is we have a curriculum, but by the end of the class, trust me, you're creating your own shit. Trust me when I tell you, the objective is to get you as a full function operating magician, but through your own creativity. And you'll see there's a method to my madness. If you take the classes, you'll understand it. And again, just so you know, we do them on Saturday afternoons, and each session is about 5 hours. We do take a short break in the middle because we cover a lot of material, and it runs 6 to 7 weeks. So you're talking about over 50 to 60 hours worth of material. And like Raven said, it's very personal. It's more detailed. It's in depth. We all interact with each other. We could talk about shit that we can't talk about here. All right. So if you are interested in that, just send me an email. And that next session will begin July 20th. And we got an awesome curriculum already planned for that. And it changes. So it's not the same stuff. You might see
it gets
yeah.
progressive.
Yeah.
It progresses.
Yeah. And like I think you said it a second ago, just so you know, it doesn't matter what level you're on. Because I do get emails about that. Do you need to be at a certain level? No, you don't. You don't have to be at any advanced level. You could be a beginner, somewhere in the middle. You could be somebody that's seasoned, that's been on the path for a while. When we all get together, we all learn. Like Raven said, we all learn stuff from each other. And I'm not just saying this. I learn from you guys when I watch. Now in the past, there's been some students I learned some things that probably, yeah.
You don't want to learn.
But that's learning too, though. That comes with the territory. All right. So hopefully I'll see some new people in there. I know there's already some new people that signed up. I know there's some previous people coming back. So I'm hoping we get even some more new people. And I guarantee you again, I don't promote my class as some mystical magic fix-all, but what I will guarantee you when you're done, you will be in a much better place than you already were. You will come out of that shit learning something. And believe me when I tell you that, that's the thing I 100% guarantee. So I don't promote it like it's no spooky shit. If you want the real deal without all the fluff and all the gimmicks and all the bullshit, then that's what it's about. All right. And I keep it blatantly honest. All right. Blatantly honest. All right. Anyway, so Saturday afternoon, we will see those. I hope a lot of you are able to tune into that show. Come with your questions. If you have the book, I know you only have about a day and a half. Try to go through it and get your questions up, man. Let's have some dialogue for Richard. All right. I will have my questions for him, but let it not just be me asking questions. Okay. It's been real. And again, maybe I don't say it enough, but let me throw it out there. I do appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody supporting the YouTube channel here, supporting the Instagram, supporting the Facebook. I appreciate all those who support the classes, all those that I've done work with, consultations. I'm very grateful for it. I enjoy doing it. So if I don't say that enough, I want to put that out there. I do appreciate everybody. Don't really, I mean, most of the feedback I get is positive, except for the occasional Jesus freak that popped in earlier. We get those we get one of those every once in a while, but I can't complain. The feedback is overall pretty much positive. All right. Appreciate everybody. We'll see everybody Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
Dude.